right. Good evening. Good afternoon to those on the on the East Coast. Grand rising to those on the West Coast. Grand rising to those in the Midwest, and grand rising to those who are outside of this part of the Moroccan Empire. Wow, it's great. We've had 2 weeks off. We had homework assignment, so we're gonna begin with the homework assignment, and I'll be bringing Brother Shem Malachi Bey up to facilitate the homework assignment. All right, Brother Shem Malachi Bey.
Thank you, Professor Abdullah. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Yes. Okay, the homework assignment. I'm asking students to go one at a time. So the first one can come up and they can start on the homework assignment.
Islam.
Yes.
This is S. Murray Bay. There isn't any nation's constitution which allows for their citizen subjects to seek a foreign government's protection to intervene in a sovereign state internal affairs. This can be found as a general or customary.
Hold on for a minute. Hold
on. Let's give the introductory of the homework assignment first. Before you go into, give the topic of the homework assignment and then give your summary paragraph.
Okay, start over again and go into the introductory part of the title of what your summary is about. Pertaining to the homework assignment.
Oh, just a second.
This state a title on a reference title to why you wrote the summary. The title why we allow you to write the summary. The homework caption.
Islam, I got it. Week 5 homework assignment. Write a one-page summary on the following topic. What principle under Moorish culture, which is the principles for established international law, and where is it found or written that a foreigner of one nation under citizenship of that nation seek protection from a foreign nation's constitution without being a citizen of that foreign nation?
Yes, go ahead.
My response, I responded last week. There isn't any nation's constitution which allows for their citizen subjects to seek a foreign government's protection to intervene in their sovereign state internal affairs. This can be found as a general or customary law principle of international law that is in compliance with the principles and purposes of the Charter of the United Nations. These principles include the sovereign equality and independence of all states and the principle of non-interference of domestic affairs of states, which can also be found in the preamble mission statement of the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties. However, but an individual would have to seek complete asylum and residence within a foreign government jurisdiction under the Convention relating to the status of refugees and stateless persons, Article 2, in order to receive protection. In closing, under the general principles of international law, in compliance with the principles and purposes of the Charter of the United Nations, no sovereign state can interfere with internal affairs of another sovereign state, based upon the international law principles of the non-interference of domestic affairs of states. Peace.
Next, that's good. Next.
Okay, so there exists no principle under Moorish culture, which is the principles for established international law, that a foreigner of one nation under citizenship of that nation seek protection from a foreign nation's constitution without being a citizen of that foreign nation. Nations or states are bodies politic, societies of men united together by a tie of allegiance for the purpose of promoting their mutual safety and advantage by joint efforts of their combined strength. And even a cursory review of the constitutions for any random selection of nations reveals as much. As such, if a foreigner of one nation under citizenship of that nation is deprived of the rights usually attributed to the citizens under that nation's law and of protection by the law, then he is likely to end up shunted, quote, shunted from nation to nation, there being no one obligated or willing to receive him. It's from Kennedy v. Mendoza Martinez. And he will not be directed to seek protection from another nation's constitution without being a citizen of that foreign nation. And the excerpt from that case, it says, we recognize at the outset that we are confronted here with an issue of utmost import, deprivation of citizenship, particularly American citizenship, which is one of the most valuable rights in the world today. Report of the President's Commission on Immigration and Naturalization has grave practical consequences. An expatriate who, like Court, had no other nationality becomes a stateless person, a person who not only has no rights as an American citizen, but no membership in any national entity whatsoever. Such individuals as do not possess any nationality enjoy, in general, no protection whatsoever, and they are aggrieved by a state. They have no means of redress. And if they are aggrieved by a state, they have no means of redress since there is no state which is competent to take up their case. As far as the law of nations is concerned, there is, apart from restraints of morality or obligations expressly laid down by treaty, no restriction whatever to cause a state to abstain from maltreating to any extent such stateless individuals. The calamity is not the loss of specific rights then, but the loss of a community willing and able to guarantee any rights whatsoever. And the stateless person may end up shunted from nation to nation, there being no one obligated or willing to receive him, or as in Court's case, may receive the dubious sanctuary of a communist regime, lacking the essential liberties precious to the American citizenship.
Okay, that's beautiful. The first two are beautiful. Next, that's on point. Let me before somebody go next. Let me say something because they intervene the word American. Now you notice there's no document, only but the treaty of Morris Treaty that has in there a United States citizen, an American, and a Moor. But however, there is nothing else in the United States Supreme Court dealing with French treaties, Spanish, and Great Britain with American citizen. When a Spanish subject or republic or citizen of Republic of France or Spanish subject or a French subject or a British subject, whether subject of the crown, go into the court to enforce a treaty right, they don't use the word American citizen in the United States Supreme Court. They don't use that. They use that, but it covers, the word American covers anybody in either of the crown occupying dominion as a subject or citizen. So I just want everybody to know when they hear the word American citizen, you don't hear that when cases are litigated. They you know, so I just want you to know that it is in the treaty though, of Morris Treaty, and that's because that's dealing with the European subjects. Next. Next. Well, we should have a line of people ready to give that. Waiting. Hold on. Nobody else have anything? Just the two? Come on now. That's part of learning. The homework assignment. You know, in universities and learning institutions, if you don't do the homework assignment, you can't pass. Now, come on now. If we put out these curriculums now, we're looking for you to give us, you know, a feedback of what you learned. That's what these. So, we have anybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Jadon Eel.
Go ahead.
Nowhere is it written in international law or any constitution that citizens of a foreign nation can seek protection from another nation's constitution without being party to the instrument. The citizens of a nation are subject to that nation's constitution, which protects their rights at home and abroad. The citizens have pledged their allegiance to the nation and have sworn to uphold the statutes and codes contained within the constitution of that nation. The foreign citizen can become a naturalized citizen of a nation by renouncing their allegiance, their pre-existing allegiance, and following the procedures of the nation that he is seeking to become a citizen of. French citizens cannot claim the protections of the Constitution written for German citizens without renouncing their French citizenship. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, we're gonna cut it off. I'm gonna give a 5 minute on what I just heard. Now, that's true. The last statement you made is 100% true. Because no one can go into a foreign government fleeing from another government, persecution, and go into that country and enforce their constitution. They can't do that for protection. What will have to happen is that government will have to grant them asylum like what happened with Einhorn. I'm gonna stand up because I don't like sitting down. You set me up with that. Einhorn received amnesty from France. A woman died and her body was found in a trunk in his closet. He was not there. When the police locked him up, he got released. He fled to France. France granted him asylum and he became a French citizen. Now, they convicted him without him being present and without a witness. United States wanted to get him back here. So they had to go to the extradition treaties with France, previous signed with France, and bring him one back. Because France granted him asylum, he was a citizen, United States said, but at the time the conviction happened, he wasn't granted asylum, he fled. He was still on a flee, he was on a run. So France said, okay, now I want you to hear this. At the time, he's a United States citizen, that's right. You have to enforce your constitution if I send him back. They didn't say our constitution. Why didn't France say you have to enforce, we're gonna go by our constitution and you have to, we're gonna have to come over here and try him in our courts. They didn't say that. They told Einhorn, that was a United States citizen, that he has to go back and stand trial under that constitution when he was a citizen of the United States. You see what I'm saying? So no native Moor in Morocco or the Moroccan Empire can go to a Spanish, French, and European court and get protection under their constitution. The Moor have to depend on their own treaty, their own constitution, and their covenants of the seer. That's it. Okay, we're going to go into the next page. We're going to go to the class today, week 6, the ancient biblical jurisprudence, a shift of the world, Professor Abdullah Bey.
All right. Great homework assignment, great work. The 3 students who shared with us. All right, so week 6, ancient biblical jurisprudence. One would ask, how does ancient biblical jurisprudence relate to a course, or why should it be part of a course titled Public Administration International Law? What does ancient biblical jurisprudence have to do with public administration and international law? Great question. You know, something to think about. Well, I want you to open your eyes, your third eye, and walk with me mentally. On all Masonic buildings throughout the world, you see a compass and square with the G in the middle. You see the Galactic Cross, Sumerian clay tablets, and the cross keys that the Pope uses. All night orders use the the double eight-pointed star represented the double cross. You see on Masonic aprons, on ancient Egyptian Moabite aprons that they wear in Masonic orders. They have the all-seeing eye above and with rays of light emanating from the eyes. Then you have above, below the all-seeing eye, you have the compass and square, the G in the middle. I mean, it's worn on the apron, it's worn below their waist. So what does all this mean? This is public administration and international law. The eagle. And I mentioned several times that the foundation of civil law is the unseen world. Divine law governs all. So the all-seeing eye and the ego is emblematic of the divine world, the galactic cross. So if you built a civilization without acknowledging her, the divine world, the unseen world, and the principles are not in harmony with the unseen world, it's coming down. That is the law. The law is the unseen world. Now, you start seeing those who know will not see a difference between government and religion. But religion has not been taught to the masses. Religion has not been taught to the masses. I know that they think they're getting religion. I know people call them religious institutions. They're not being taught religion. So the unseen world is the foundation of what we're doing. The foundation of civil law is the divine law. If you're not in step with the divine order, you gotta keep in mind that calamities and you're looking at climate changes. So you're looking at a shift in consciousness. So the unseen world is the key. So in order for us to move forward, we need to have a foundation. So today's class is right on time because it's giving us a foundation of civil law, which is divine law. So ancient biblical jurisprudence, we're going to go into that. We're going to bring Shem Malachi Bey up. We're going to go and talk about the politics, the world politics, the two world seers, Prophet Muhammad and the Pope. All right, Shem Malachi Bey.
Thank you, Professor Abdullah. We're going to talk about the change in the world as far as in the methodology of thinking of who controls the people, who has power to see in the future, who has power to foretell, who has power to levy war, who has power to exalt themselves above the nations, the rulers of the earth. Week 6, ancient biblical jurisprudence. Can I get a reader? Can I have a reader, please?
Islam. Week 6, ancient biblical jurisprudence. The two world seers, Prophet Muhammad and the Pope. Prophet Muhammad and the change of the ideology of the world. The ancient philosophy of the ancient seers, thousands of years before Muhammad claimed his seership. Prophet Muhammad claimed to be the last prophet ordained by the Supreme Cosmic Mother. Prophet Muhammad's claim is in conflict with the ancient well-settled jurisprudence of the old seers, philosophy, and revelations.
Stop right there.
What?
Stop right there. Let's stop and let you read a question. Now, thank you, Professor Abdullah, for pushing this far to get this. Because we must know this, Professor Abdullah, right? Now, I want you to hear this. Please pay attention. When you read the Iroquois Constitution, it said, give thanks to the Creator who created this. Give thanks to the sun, the moon, the stars, the plants. Now, but they made a reference. Give the worship to the Creator that made these things. Now, when Prophet Muhammad came to the seership, he claimed the glory of the sun, the moon as his God. Please listen to me. This is why he got this symbol, the crescent moon and the star. Hear me out. That control the natural order that we live in. That cosmic rim, dominion control all the natural order what we live in right now today. Without that, we can't exist. Or get food, get the seasons, get a clock, get navigation, get the wind blows, we get nothing. He made a claim that was his divinity that gave him his authority to his seership. Now I'm gonna go before him. The prophets before him, under the old Egyptian, Phoenician, Chaldean, land of Canaan, Moabites, Israel, worship the mother, cosmic mother and father principle over the sun and the moon. That was the ultimate one that created that lower moon and star and stars, that got the legislative power over that to control that, to protect us, give it what we need. They worship the higher principle that created that. Now, I'm talking about well-settled principles and seership. So when he said he's the last prophet of Allah is the glory of the moon and the sun. So he's the prophet of the sun and the moon. Now see, this is what I tell everybody. There's no need getting angry. Go back and look, read this. He never claimed to be the prophet of the supreme creator mother, the cosmic mother, father that created that. He never made that claim. Come on now. The Catholic doctrine is a doctrine off of the old seers. It's been put in doctrine form to control and rape the people. Out of what? Out of their natural prosperity called their inheritance. So when the Catholic doctrine ran and grabbed the scriptures in the older covenants of the seer, what they did was they created a vice, a mental vice, a language vice by controlling the people to their doctrine, their opinion, their school of thought. Okay. So I want you to know when we go and we read this, you know what's going on here. All right, question. Go ahead, read it. You can finish.
Question. What does Prophet Muhammad's claim mean? Answer. Prophet Muhammad's claim that his is the last prophet brings in a constructive opinion that takes away the weighing of the merit and facts from the seers of the older generations and deprives the nations of the world of a historic principle by not weighing on the scales of Ma'at, a seer of modern times. Modern seers must not conflict with the older seers' philosophy and revelations. Prophet Muhammad cut the cord to the ancient seership principles in the minds of the people. Muhammad usurped the foundation principle of any woman or man from becoming a seer during his life and after his death. He destroyed the ancient foundation philosophy of the ancient seers. principles of guiding the people of the various nations that communicated with other nations based on the seer's revelations, wisdom, and knowledge.
Okay, now, any questions on that? Question, comments, criticism, whatever it may be. That's what we're here for.
Okay, so you're Islam's. So you're saying that Muhammad stopped everyone else from becoming a seer by claiming that um, he was the last claiming that he was the last prophet or so. Am I saying that right?
Yes, he did. Not only did he stated in his doctrine and revelation, but he also put the people to death from behind that. People have died behind that. Millions of people have died behind this. People have been put in indentured servitude behind that. Women have been stripped of their matriarch lineage, principle of inheritance. Yes, this has been stripped. Whereas though the man said everything goes behind a man. And the man need not to be guided by the ancient principle of jurisprudence being here to marry a woman from the nation in order for that birthright to be transferred or for someone to inherit the crown or even election, be a part of election. It had to come from the woman. Yes. Listen, we open for criticism statements. It should be a line of questions and statements on this. Ain't nobody, listen, don't worry about what somebody think or what they think of you. Say it and express it. That's what we're here for, to learn. Yes, Chris. Lord Chris.
Lord Chris, my Lord, you're here to present your question.
Okay, greetings. No, just mine is just an observation. So if Muhammad says he is the seal of prophet, the last prophet, right?
Yes.
And that goes against the ancient principles.
Yes.
And the majority of their conquest was done based on his doctrine, then the Mohammedans' conquest was just as brutal then, if not similar to that of the Roman Catholic conquest. So then there is none better than the other then.
Absolutely. That's what we're trying to show, that these two masks of people, doctrine, these two doctrines that people have got converted to through force, death threats, are the two most vicious doctrines, movements, congregations, following nations that ever been to kill people on the face of the earth. And they don't want to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. And then they use connotated, constructed language and try to tie it into the Jews or the Daouti or the Christian, the Christ, the anointing. They try to tie it into something that it has absolutely nothing to do with it. And then it's constructive. You hear the king say, most Christian king, defender of the faith. What faith he talking about? He defended the Christian faith. He defended the Catholic doctrine, the Catholic way of life. All the kings, even Margaret more kings, like us, have followed either Mohammedanism or followed the Catholic doctrine in the name of the Catholic. Because the Pope and the popes and the Roman Caesars were Margaret Moors. So what it is that when you sit down and reason with someone, and when you break down the cosmic mother, the principles of the manifestation of the characteristics of the cosmic mother, you come out with masculine and feminine, which the eagle, the boar, the lion, and the man. These are characteristics, manifestations. I'm gonna get back, yes. So what I'm saying is that they are the 2 We call emperors because Prophet Muhammad is considered as an emperor too because he ruled, he conquered. That showed the Catholic Church, Pope, and the Catholic doctrine. They too conquered, and they brought in a new age. They brought in a new age. Hear me out. With all the old concepts, the old world, because you hear him say this was this new world and this old world coming from. And you can see this in books. You see these in colleges taught in the old world. Whoa, what new world you talking about? You got a new piece of earth got poured out the water? Come on, that's a fraud. The new world, what? I'm gonna tell you what they're talking about. They're talking about the new psychiatry, the new mind frame, the new school of thought. All right, go ahead. Any more questions?
IBKR1. I'm gonna lower your hand. You present your question.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Islam. First, the ancient seers. There had to be others at that time that saw that Muhammad was going astray. Were they all killed?
Now, let me say this. When you use the word go astray, that's why I brought in earlier, when you say they see him go astray, one cannot go astray if he's a seer. You can't go astray when you're a seer. You may be disobedient to what was given to you, but you cannot go astray because that would possess you, would not let you go that way. It would kill you first. You got it?
Okay. Yes, sir. Now, since he's being disobedient, wasn't there an uprising? I mean, something, war?
No. It wasn't a thing of being disobedient. His seership was rejected.
Okay.
Hear me out. Let me say it again. When one say the moon and the stars and the heavens is my God, my Lord, my master, my masculine and feminine.
I'm listening.
That created me. But hear me out. That created everything. Give all honor, praise, and glory to that. That's wrong. Why, Shem? Because there's something higher principle that made that. And you cannot give glory to that. You got to give glory to that, the other higher part of the unseen world. Now, when a seer gets ordained and spoken to, he knows this principle because he knows how he's being traveled, how he's being dealt with. He knows that principle that's dealing with him, which is the masculine and feminine, which is the mother, it tells him they made that. And give glory to me, give me the honor because my power made that. See, that's the difference. When a seer make a proclamation to be known who he is, he has to say who his master and Lord is in the cosmos that gave him that authority or gave her that authority. Once that you say that, it got to balance out on the scales of Maya with all the other seers. Did they say that? If they never say that and they say that they seership came from a higher power that made that, then you got something wrong here. You got something wrong here. See, we don't want to see these are gray areas nobody want to talk about, but we got to talk about it. We're in a situation here now. And these spiritual, so-called spiritual mosques, temples, and congregations, they are not doing us no good. I'm sorry. They're telling us to go right back into the system and compromise with them. On one side of their mouth, then the other side open up and say, well, they're against us. They're enemies of us. Then the up the front of their mouth say, well, just fall in, get in when you can fit in at. That's what's going on. That's what I see, three sides open up speaking. Any more questions, brother? You got anything to add on that?
I have one more.
Yes.
Now, after Constantinople and Constantine and the Pope, they did the same thing. Noble Drew Ali, I'm sure, because Elijah Muhammad was a student at that time. Am I right?
A student of who?
He was there at the same time with Drew Ali. Am I correct?
Okay, who was Drew Ali a student of?
What? One of the ancient seers, correct? No, I'm talking about.
Wait a minute.
No. My question is this:
Come here. I want you to put
if
this on
Drew
the board.
Ali is the teacher, right?
Yeah, hold on for a minute. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. He said Noble Drew Ali was a student of a seer. Am I right?
Okay.
Ancient seer. Put that up on the board. I'm gonna let Professor Abdullah break this down. Language now. We're gonna deal with language now. We're getting somewhere. Thank you. I appreciate what you just said. Because that's in the mindset of people today. They won't say it, but I'm glad you said it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let's examine this. You say Noble Drew Ali. You say Noble Drew Ali was a student of the ancient seers. Now, you said this. I'm gonna ask you a question. Where in Noble Drew Ali writings that he ever stated that he was a student of the ancient seers? So I'm going about to make sure we get this on. Everybody know we're just not gonna say nothing about backing up a proof. Which show me a statement or writing that Noble Drew Ali made a statement that Noble Drew Ali was a student of the ancient seers.
It's actually a question. Was he? I'm asking the question.
Abdullah, was he? Was he? Was Noble Drew Ali? Excuse me. Okay, no. Was Noble Drew Ali? Was Noble Drew Ali a student? Yeah, take this out. Okay, thank you, Professor. Now, I can answer that. Was Noble Drew Ali a student of the ancient seers? No. Thank you, damn. No. No. Now, I'm going to explain why he wasn't a student of the ancient seers. Noble Drew Ali learned more science in a congregation, a church, a temple. He was taught by a man. A seer is not taught by a man. Hear me out. A seer is not taught by a man, neither is his revelation from man. A woman prophetess is not taught by man or woman or any natural knowledge of the world. That's why it's called a revelation of God, of the divine. It's a revelation. No seer will ever say that they follow the doctrine of another seer, and yet they was not even taught under that seer principles. Noble Drew Ali never said that he heard a voice, that he had a communication, that he had a relationship, a diplomatic relationship with the cosmos, the mother of the cosmos, that father masculine principle, and that it taught him and trained him, and it gave him revelation how to govern the people in nature, in the natural. He never said that. Because Noble Drew Ali never said that, I can say Noble Drew Ali was not a seer after the order of the ancient seers, because they say that. You understand?
Yes, sir.
We say, Drew Ali.
Well, Professor, I'll let you tell them what they say.
All right, so
Professor
we have
Abdullah.
the Articles of the Corporation. The Articles of Corporation of the Moorish Science Temple of America is to propagate the faith. What is their mission? Is to propagate the faith of Mohammedanism. That's your evidence right there. Articles of Corporation of the Moorish Science Temple of America filed in Cook County in the foreign jurisdiction, foreign to Morocco, foreign to Moroccan Empire. Foreign doesn't mean districts, jurisdiction. So he filed Articles he filed under the Legislative Act of Illinois, Articles of Incorporation on the Legislative Act of Illinois. In the back of the questionnaire, you have the Legislative Act of Illinois, where sheiks and grand sheiks and sheikesses of the Moorish Scientific America claim to be their authority, that their authority to operate, their authority to exist, their authority to teach Moors, their authority to hold meetings, their authority to go out into the public is based on the Legislative Act of Illinois. That is not sovereignty at all. And once again, Juali's statement is that Juali to propagate the faith of Mohammedanism. Now the question is, there's a contradiction here. In the Articles of Incorporation, it reads to propagate the faith of Mohammedanism. In the Divine Warning, it reads our Constitution to enforce, to bring our people back into the constitutional fold of government, one statement, to enforce our Constitution of the United States of America. That's a contradiction. Anyone who claims to propagate the faith of Mohammedanism will not enforce the United States Constitution. They want to be talking about that. No one who claims to propagate the faith of Mohammedanism will ever tell his people to enforce the United States Constitution or to enforce any constitution or to enforce any treaties. Right. They won't even say enforce Moorish treaties. They would neither say enforce the United States Constitution. You say propagate the faith of Mohammedanism. So are they propagating the faith of Mohammedanism in the Moorish Science Temple? No. We're parroting. We got to get out of the parroting. We got to get rise to epistemological thinking and reasoning. What does it mean for one to propagate the faith of Mohammedanism? Sure.
Well, may I read the?
Yes.
May I read the affidavit?
Yes, please. We got to get down to some details.
Yeah, we getting in now.
It's a Noble Drew Ali, ALLI, Millie Ill, Maul Bay, Lovett Bay, and Portman Bay. The Moorish Science Temple of America, deriving its power and authority from the great Quran of Muhammad, is propagating the faith and extend the learning and truth of the great prophet of ALLI in America, to extend, appoint, and consecrate ministries of the prophet, and to establish the faith of Muhammad in America.
Once again, in the divine warning, the divine warning to all nations. Juali writes about bringing the people back into the constitutional fold of government. That's a contradiction. Our Constitution force our Constitution, the Constitution for the United States of America. Why is it any discussion in the divine warning about Mohammedanism? I mean, that's never been raised. This has never been raised. We're raising it today. Critical thinking analysis. We know what's read. We know what's in the Articles of Incorporation. There's a contradiction going on. And even in writings. All right. Shem, what does it mean for one to propagate the faith of Mohammedanism? What does one, let me bring this up. I'm gonna put this up top. Let's put some bullet points to this. How does one propagate the faith of Mohammedanism?
Camera needs to be adjusted. Fine.
Shem, we'll come facilitate this.
Okay. That is to teach it to the public. Present it and teach it to the public. We have now in modern times, teach the doctrine of Mohammedanism, the principles, the doctrine of Mohammedanism under the Quran. Thank you, Tamara. I'm not teaching the doctrine of the Mohammedanism pursuant to the Quran. That means to teach it to the public, to offer it to those who do not know worldwide. Wherever, any place that you go, any jurisdiction, any territory, any province, you teach it publicly and offer it to them people, them communities, them societies. They're no different in modern time now when they take the media and do news stories and wrap up newspapers and do what you call media. They offer it to the viewing, the public, to view it, and then the people learn from that. So he was only, according to what he say, is teaching and making known, offer to the public the doctrine of the Quran. That's it. And the temples, oh yes, it's only supposed to be operating on this principle.
There you go. That's it. Stay there. Stay there. Operating on this principle.
On principle. Now, if that's true, now we're getting somewhere. Now, the principles is Surahs and the Hadith. That's the chronicles, the history of the prophet. The Surahs are the codes and ordinance that the prophet claimed to written down and receive through divine inspiration. The Chronicles is the Hadith, the history of the prophet. Hadith. Yeah, I think I said yes, Hadith. Hadith. Yeah, I said that's close. Now, the Surahs is what Muhammad claimed to receive divine commandments and wrote them down to govern the people, which is the orders and codes. That's why they call them the Muslim codes. Statutes. The Hadith is the Chronicles, meaning the history of how the prophet came about to become a prophet, how he got inspired by, he said, claimed by the cosmos to receive a revelation, and his life story, where he went here, how he lived, his wives, and this and that. That's the history. Excuse me. Yes. I let him get this. Now, someone probably saying, why is he using the Quran, Prophet Muhammad, and Mohammedanism? Why are we going to school on this? Because, listen to me, because this is one of the number one cornerstone rock that people in modern time consider as being their way to receive divine favor and a divine inheritance. See now, everybody get this? This on the board? Okay, now
let's look at this, Shem.
Yes.
Juali didn't do this stuff.
No, he didn't. Absolutely. Go absolutely.
Juali didn't do this.
No, he did not.
There's no evidence that Juali did this. You tomorrow. Go to Moore Science Temple tomorrow. Go to the Moore Science Temple tomorrow. They have the Circle 7 Quran, which is from the Aquarian Gospel. So Juali didn't do this. Juali did not propagate the faith of Muhammad. Juali was in violation of the Articles of Incorporation of the Moore Science Temple of America that's filed in Cook County. I made a claim of supporting to propagate the faith of Mohammedanism. That's in Articles of Incorporation. You go to the Moore Science Temple, they have the Circle 7 Quran that's from the Aquarian Gospel. It's right in there from the Aquarian Gospel. Aquarian Gospel, the surahs and hadiths. Something going on. I'm saying there hasn't been any examination, no critical thinking. You know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. You have those who are afraid. You know, they want to say things to go along to get along. I'm not the one that's doing that. I'm not trying to get along with wrong principles. I'm not getting along with wrong principles. I'm trying to free us. I'm not getting along with wrong principles. I'm not down with wrong concepts. I'm not trying to be liked by those who are down with wrong principles and wrong concepts. Trying to liberate our people. And that's since 9 years old. 9 years old when I watched Roots, 1977, 9 years old. That been in my mind I made a conscious decision in 1977, the 10-stage series, while I was watching Roots, my grandmother, grandfather, Aunt Linda, my sister Patricia, I think my Tamika was born in 1977. My younger sister. My uncle, Fonzel, Uncle LB, and my mom was at work, and my stepfather was at work as well. Came on that night. I made a conscious decision at 9 years old to help our people. And we're representing, we're analyzing. We want discussions. But to say, Abdullah, you don't know what you're talking about, I'll accept that. But you can't put a period on that though. Once you say, Abdullah, you don't know what you're talking about, I'm gonna close my mouth and give you the floor. Once someone says I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm closing my mouth. I'm gonna close my mouth. I'm gonna give them the floor to support their claim. So they got a counterclaim. That means they got to present evidence. So they got to go to the same pieces of information that I'm going to. They got to go to the same pieces of information. They got to go to the Articles of Incorporation. They got to go to Divine Warning. They got to go to the Caveat Emptor. They got to go to Message to America. They got to go to the same information that I'm going to. And they're going to find what I'm saying to be true. What's the problem? They never really analyzed it. Just like Resolution 75. I'm throwing a parallel here. Now I'm talking about myself too. Resolution 75. We've had students read this in the class. So Joyce 101 class, so Joyce 201, right? Read it here. They made the claims, and then once they read it, remember, I'm listening. They're reading. Yeah, former Moors. Oh, and read former Moors. Oh, that we found out what we found our place home after a long journey. Oh, what is that though? What is like they were standing on a document prior to reading it in class. They were standing strong on it. Now reading it, what was going on? What's going on psychologically? Right. They're now using critical thinking. Whereas before they were reading past it. You know what? Let me thank you. Tamara corrected me.
No, they were not reading
please,
past
Tamara,
it.
correct me, please.
They were being guided to read past it and only given what they wanted them to see. Which means
I know the master, so I got that's why
the master student relationship was flawed. Now, don't trust your master, your teacher, because your teacher is operating in error because he's not opening a veil for you to be able to have the providence to be able to go within and have the seership rise up within you, the innate ability. So it's doing exactly what the doctrine of Muhammad is. It cut off the seership within you and to be the guiding, invoking the power that the cosmic mother, the great I am, has already placed in you to be able to see and go forward and subdue. That's your Genesis 128 of that's your direction and guidance in your generation to be able to see forth and subdue. So your teachers was cutting that off.
I'm raising my hand because I've seen it. I'm a living witness. I've seen it. So what she's saying, I've observed. Oh yeah, yes, observed. So I want y'all to challenge us. Please do. But challenge us with evidence, though. Don't challenge us. Well, you can't challenge us with emotion anyway, because that's not a challenge. So I would be in error for if I were to say, don't challenge us with emotion. That's an error. No one can challenge you with emotion because that's not a challenge. That's not a challenge. That's not refuting. You don't refute with emotions. So I would be in error if I were to say that. Any questions?
Yes, we have 3 questions came in.
This is great.
Muhammad Rashid Ill, you're next in line. Then after that, we will have IBKR1. Then we have James iPhone the third. So Muhammad Rashid, I'm gonna lower your hand. You can present your question.
Islam. Question about hadiths. Would you agree that the book of hadiths came like 300 to 400 years after the Prophet Muhammad?
I'm not quite sure the time frame. I do believe that. Come and get this document back up. I do believe that it was sometime after his death. I do acknowledge that there was a record of events surrounding him at the time when he came up. His father was the high priest in the Kaaba. which is the stone, the worshiping stone, and that it was 360 deities and that within there, and that his father was the head and a priest, head in commerce, and that Muhammad came up under that. And I do believe that it wasn't made public or put together in some sort of manuscript or writing so sometime after he died. Absolutely. I don't know the time frame.
That would be the Quran. But now, you ever hear that?
That'd be the Hadith.
Oh, so you never heard that the book of Hadith were written like 300 to 400 years after the Prophet Muhammad? You never heard that interpretation?
I just said what you say. I don't know the time frame.
Oh, the time frame.
What I know is that based on the Hadiths, there could be something kept as a private record. It may not even get published or edited or put into a form of manuscript sometime later after the man or woman died. So I don't know the exact time. I would have to go to the one that is printed out and proved by Mecca and Medina and see what they say when the first public viewing of the manuscript that was edited came out pertaining to Prophet Muhammad and his family and whereabouts when he was born and all that. Yes, I don't know the exact time frame.
Do you think it's possible that Mohammedanism was created hundreds and hundreds of years after the Prophet Muhammad?
Now, I'm not going to go into that because there's nothing to verify. I'm going to stick to the doctrine that he is taken to be a seer by millions and millions of people. I'm going to stick on the principle that when the Moorish treaties was written by Muslim conquered territory under control of the sultans, which had a governor, was called a Dey, judge, governor, which was called a Bey, a Caliph, an Emir. I'm going back under certain territorial nation tribes that rule under Mohammedanism. What I'm saying, that if you're going to claim to go after the doctrine of Mohammedanism, don't be a hypocrite. You ain't got no business in a courtroom. If you follow the Moorish Science Temple, then what you doing saying you Moorish American? What you doing going and saying the Constitution protect you? Go back and show me a Muslim tribe back then that went into a foreign nation as protection from their Constitution. Now I'm looking back now. Let's not be hypocritical. Let's stop playing with the people. If you claim the doctrine of Muhammad as a seer, stand on that. That's the protector, the Quran. No Spanish, French, European, or any other government is supposed to have say-so over but what Prophet Muhammad say. And according to the treaties, that's law, Mohammedanism. So why are you standing on that if you say you follow Mohammedanism? Why is the more science don't have Mohammedanism in them and quoting the Quran to protect themselves? Where's the Mukti at? Let's stop playing with our people. You got anything else you want to add to that, brother? Any other questions?
Nah, no more questions, son. Thank you.
No, what was your question answered? I don't want to listen to me.
Oh, yeah, yes, it was answered. You answered the question. Yeah.
See what I want. See what
question was that you don't know the specific time frame. So you answered the question.
Absolutely. Next question. Tamara, who's next, Tamara?
It's me.
Hold on, that's something simple to Google. Like when was the first hadith written, published, things of that nature. Okay, so I just Googled it. When was the first hadith published? And you see in here between Britannica, Wikipedia. So this is not a question. That's first thought up in this disposition of time because it wouldn't come up within the search. Okay, so the collection of it indicates that the hadith were oral to in writing, evaluated, and gathered into large collections during the 8th and 9th centuries, generation after the death of Muhammad. So yes, the question is, it was after the death of Muhammad, yes, and it's a compilation during the 8th and 9th centuries, after the end of the era of Rashid Caliphate, from where Muhammad lived.
Yes.
So basically, during that caliphate, there were writings and collections, things that was, you know how when they create like a museum and they start gathering the life stories and the collections of how this person lived, and they may have oral presentments and collect things that they collect, and they collected these items and created the hadith.
Yes, thank you, Tamara. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tam.
Yes. Next question. Thank you, Tamara.
IBKR 1. I'm gonna lower your hand and present your question.
Islam, true religion, or the religion that the old seers were using. Where do we find that at?
Listen here. Listen here. When you say true religion, you remember you're dealing with nature and divinity. They're not set apart. The divinity control everything. Let me give you an illustration. I'm a director and an editor and a writer and a creator of movies. I write in the movie every character, what's their name, how they gonna die, how they gonna kill, how they gonna buy, how they gonna do. Everything is written by the author. If that isn't the nature coming from your divinity in you, then that means the unseen world has power to write. When you leave the cosmos and go in your mother womb, when you come out, when your mother picked you up, they have power to write this. It's called legislative authority. They are the parliament. They write the goings and the movies of the sun, the moon, the stars. They write everything. How far a star moves, the distance between the stars, the names of the stars. They like the children. All this is controlled by the cosmos. That is true religion. That everything comes from within to express itself without. You can't have it. Within you is invisible, but it shows itself through your body, your action. So the cosmos, the mother, operating the principle of masculine and feminine, shows forth the divine wisdom, which comes out of the nucleus, the body, her, is what? Everything, shapes, forms, symbols, measurements, dominions, courts, temples. Yes, that's up there. Yes, around us. We just ain't leave here yet. So that's the true essence of religion. Now ask yourself a question. Is that being taught?
And the answer, of course, is no.
No, I'm talking about prior to what we're doing now, Tamara. That was not. When Professor Abdullah got up here many a times and broke down some real deep stuff, I told him, see, this was sent from the cosmos. Abdullah couldn't have that. That's coming from within Abdullah. That means it comes from somewhere. Where did that power, that knowledge and revelation come from? Because Abdullah didn't learn it in universities. Now, we can get to the nitty-gritty of this right now. He did not learn this in universities. So where did he learn it at? It was already put in his mother womb. Now it's coming from within. Because greater that was within him is greater than what we see out here. So he's been teaching us.
Shem, because you struck a chord. I appreciate you on that. Because I was thinking about this last week. So I'm glad thank you for that. I in reading 2010 and coming up with looking at various articles and books and learning about the galactic cross and I'm looking at like how am I able to make these connections? As I'm preparing for my book Masonic Compass and Square, I'm looking at how I was able to make these connections, and I don't give the credit to myself because there's a higher power, and I'm aware of that. I recall Brother Hakeem Bey. Brother Hakeem Bey, his saying back in the 1990s, 94, recall him saying this, that when he goes to the library and he's walking and he stops and he's guided by the ancestors to a particular book. And so I recall having this, thinking about that when Hakeem Bey said when I would go to the library. And it's like I wouldn't even go into the call catalog section. I would just go and just, look at different books, and then I'm guided. And I felt that energy, I'm being guided, by a particular book, a particular thing, or a particular person, and I got great respect and honor for that, that is not me, a higher power than me. So I began to see that all-seeing eye, gain more and more insight into the meaning of that all-seeing eye. And I'm like, wow. So I appreciate you saying that, Shem, and I acknowledge that. I do acknowledge that. All right, Shem.
Before we go on break, we're gonna let Lord Chris present his last question.
Okay.
And we're gonna.
Yes, Lord Chris.
I just wanted to add, as Professor Abdul just said, that he was guided to gather certain information, right? And this guidance, then I can say, well, this guidance is a more metaphysical guidance, right? If I'm on the right path there. Now, over the years, I've noticed, this is personal now, that there are certain writings that if one's not guided from a metaphysical standpoint, the information on the page may seem mundane to the person that's not guided, but then the person that is guided, when reading that same page, get another higher level of information, right? No, I'm saying this to say.
Absolutely, that's fair, that's good, that's right. You got it, you on point.
If these documents that were written by Noble Joali, right, and as we point out some discrepancy in these documents, or whatever the documents are, right? Can we be 100% certain that what we are seeing and interpreting is in fact what is present?
We're gonna go on break. We're going to break. We're going to answer that when we come back.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, because it's the class back. Okay, we're going to go off let the Lord finish his last part of his question, his explanation. Go ahead. Lord Chris? Was that Lord Chris? Lord Chris, you can finish up where you left off at. When you was giving a question and an explanation, a statement. Lord Chris, you with us? James iPhone?
James
it's my brother.
Yes.
Can I be heard?
Yes, you can hear you.
All right. Peace and love to all the kinfolk. Brother Shem, my question was related to where you started with respect to the explanation of both the errors of Christian/Catholic nations in terms of them not following what historically a seer would do, and same thing as applies to who's referred to as Prophet Muhammad and Mohammedan faith, and then we went up to, what did Noble Drew Ali say, and was it proper or was it contradictory? As I'm listening through, gathering some comprehension and understanding from the discussion, I was hoping you could give us an example of a seer that predates any of the popes, as well as people or the Mohammedan faith, so that what is well settled that predates them. Could you give us an example from one of the seers?
Okay. The seership, let me say it, first of all, the seership is a very sacred royal lineage that's given to a prestige people, a particular people of a certain clan and tribe and nations coming through the woman. That cannot be granted. I'm gonna give some examples. Like in Egypt, the Pharaoh, the divine providence guide Pharaoh to see a seer coming through his land. How could he see that? How could he discern all millions of people coming to his land, coming from different countries with all their cattle, tribal chiefs, tribal rulers, and clan mothers coming through here, his land, in and out, his empire? How was he able to recognize a certain party coming through there that was a seer, that was in contact and in reputation with the mother and masculine father of the cosmos, the Lord God? How did he know that? I'm showing you right now. How did he know that? The divine providence met with him, gave him that revelation and sight to foresee what came into his nation. I'm going to use that example. Any man or woman claiming the seership, you have to look back and say, wait a minute. If you claim that seership, a seer is also recognized by what he prophesied. Meaning that he could say something that may not come to pass to 300 years later. He said it. It didn't happen right then. Don't mean he's not a seer. It's the fact that the people is handed down the philosophy and the knowledge, and there is a record kept that there was a man or woman prophesied something in that age and that time, and that it's 150 years went by and it just came to pass. That's the divine providence, foresee. See, you're asking, yes. See, what you're doing, I'm gonna say this, James. I just gave you an explanation of how that works. We don't see that working this way now. When I was growing up, I didn't see that working that way. It's just like our people just blindfold and just walking like Stevie Wonder with a stick. I'm serious. Until, like the Tamils say, the veil came off their eyes. Then is able to throw the stick down and walk and go to the longitude and direction they want. So I'm going to give that example. I'm going to get back into the lesson. Let me get back to that later on, James. Thank you for asking.
We have one more hand raised.
Another hand? Okay.
Morris Moroccan 7.
Yes. Morris Moroccan 7?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, peace and love, Lord, and Brother Shem, how you? Yeah, just a quick question, because I don't know if I misunderstood something earlier. Someone had made mention about Prophet Muhammad, and I just wanted to know, for clarity purposes, was Prophet Muhammad, was he claiming to be a overseer, or was he or he wasn't and was in error? Again, that's what I'm saying. It's a question. I don't know if I misunderstood something. My question is, was Prophet Muhammad an overseer, or was he in error?
A divine general overseer. Yes. A divine general overseer. Yes. That's a prophet, it's a seer. Yes. Okay. Anyone got another question? Okay, let's go back into. Can I get a reader? We had Prophet Muhammad and his control of commerce. So we read the question already. We did that, Abdul. That's why we got into all, Can I get a reader?
Prophet Muhammad and the control of commerce. Prophet Muhammad learned the secret of controlling the nations and the people is through the seership. This gave him the supreme rulership over the nations, the people, the political affairs, commerce, the way inheritance is handed down, and who is to obey the seer.
Yes, keep going.
Class discussion. How does Prophet Muhammad's claim affect the Moors today? Constantine. Constantine.
Stop right there. That's a question. Now, we put that there. How does Prophet Muhammad claim affect the Moors today? That's the question we want to ask the class. Can anyone give us an answer to that or explanation?
Islam Murray Bay. That his claim, how does it affect? Well, it limits everyone else to have that ability to become seers by saying that he's the seal of the prophets. It cuts off everyone else's ability to become a seer if they think that he is the one and only.
Yes, that's good. That's good. Next, anyone someone else?
Is that like a monopoly on the idea of being a seer?
Yes, that's good. That's a good answer. Yes, go ahead. That's the answer. That's good.
Okay, Saladin Hill. And
it also eliminates.
Lord Chim, that was my question.
Yes, and anybody want to answer?
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Lord Chim, in retrospect to my last question, this is Mike Morsh Moroccan, Michael Emmanuel Bay. Right. That's I was a bit confused with my question from what I misunderstood earlier. Right.
Michael, we're gonna stay on this question right here. We're gonna stay on this question. We're gonna stay on the question that is on the board. The question is, how does Prophet Muhammad's claim affect the Moors today? Would you like to present information regarding the class discussion that we're at currently? James Weeks Bay. James Weeks Bay.
Yes, James. You want to answer the question?
All right, I'm sorry, I couldn't get off mute. Yeah, my thought related to the question is that it creates a level of confusion or and potentially blockage to anyone that has a different faith tradition or comprehension of how the divine works, because he in essence is blocking anyone else from he's saying that no one else has a divine connection but itself.
Yes, that's good, James.
If you don't see it through the lens that he's seeing it through,
that's right.
then you would automatically be wrong based off position that he took to say that he was the seal. You know, I'm an old right tackle. I know how to throw the seal block.
Yep.
We open up a lane for our crew to take it downfield. So you're blocking. You're cutting off others, and that's not consistent. That's not consistent. One thing I know from studying within the Afrocentric school, dealing with the 25, 26 dynastic periods, is that I know, and this predates Muhammad, it was said that there were many ways to know. There was more than one way to know, which is more than one way to connect to the divine. So the idea that all of a sudden, over the endless expanse of human development and the progression of our family, there's one child born that blocks everybody, and a male child at that. That doesn't seem to square up with old principles.
Yes. Yes, go ahead, T. House question, T.
My question is, did he absolutely have the power to put a cap on who becomes prophet or get any type of messages from the celestial messages? So was he able?
Get in the mic, Terrence. I can't even hear you.
All right.
In the same
Am I in the
room.
mic?
Yes.
All right. So my question is, sorry. So my question is, did Prophet Muhammad have the absolute power to cut off prophets after him?
Answer is no, absolutely. He could not make that determination. Now, I'm glad now, because you asked that question, we have to go and examine this. No one can ever question the power of the mother, the cosmos, the unseen world. No one can ever question, because there have been times that cosmos have did a phantom of truth, revelation, in punishing the people of the earth, meaning that they would not inspire a seer with revelation to punish the people on the earth. Then the people on the earth will become panicky because no one can figure out dreams, visions. No one can, something is wrong. Like Abdullah said, there's something wrong with the seasons. The land is not growing, something wrong. They're looking for a message. We offend the gods. So they're looking for someone, a woman or man, to connect, to foresee, to tell them what's wrong.
Pause.
Yes.
Pause, because I hope people grab that between the correlation of Terrence's question and Shem answer.
Yes.
So therefore, whom is the power that Prophet Muhammad received? Whom was it derived from? The people.
Yes.
I'm gonna make it simple. They don't even have to get into well and all this. Let's make it simple, because we are dealing with events. We're dealing with yesterday's events, today's information for tomorrow's news. Let's get into that. We're looking at the same disposition of fear today. It's the people, it's your kinfolks who give over their innate power to someone else because they don't trust themselves. You don't trust what's in you. You don't trust the divine within yourself. So you become lazy, you become fearful, and you give it up to someone else to reign over you. That same person that you gave up to reign over you could be the same one that could kill you. So that's what we experience today. When you say, this person power, no one has no power greater than the next person power. You give your power, you lend your power, you give it over to them. That's where the power is derived from, the people, the fear of the people.
So what we have is no man can make that determination himself. He can't do that. He don't. There's nothing recorded that a man took that honor upon himself. That a man took the honor upon himself. There's nothing written. See, this is what we have to do when we talk about when y'all call Noble Jew Ali a prophet. Hear me out. It say no man or woman bestow their honor upon themselves. What you talking about? The seer said, you can't bestow their honor upon yourself. And also, in ancient time, all the nations used to observe 2 nations of the world that had the anointing. That other nations call for these prophets and prophetess to prophesy in their lands when they ruled the world. I mean, when they was one empires ruling the world, these sultans under Babylon, Mesopotamia, Persia, even under Egypt, all of them. The fight, they had all their priests and stuff, but all of them looked for a seer. And majority of the time, Moab and Israel, the Moors in Moab and Israel, was the ones, the prophetess was the mightiest. And Moab and Israel, they were called the prophetess and the prophets. They would do stuff. Like the Moab seer was the emperor of Persia. The king, the emperor married her. This was done by the cosmos to protect the Moors here in Morocco from the Persian Empire. Because the Persian Empire stretched forth his arm and conquered Moab and Israel. So a Moabite woman moved for Moabite in Israel to protect them from the power of Persia. And by doing that, the cosmos ruled and favored that he look at her and he marry her for her wisdom and how she look, her beauty. These are examples. These are jurisprudence. We wasn't scared to look at it. She wasn't inspired. Now, Tamara, right? The cosmos didn't speak to her. It came from within her divinity that led her to look back at the covenant and say, we got to protect this. We got to take our inheritance, our land, our states, because that's the mother. And look what she did. Got the emperor to marry her, Persia, and then turn around and steer him to kill her enemies. So the anointing that is inside of her inspired her to do that. So we've done with the question. We get back to Constantine. Can I get a reader?
Constantine wanted to bestow upon himself the emperorship and seership. The earlier priests and spiritual leaders rejected this concept. No emperor / Caesar of Greek and Roman nations were ever granted the right to be a seer. The vested power of the Roman emperor and the vested power of a seer were merged into the authority of the Pope. The Pope has claimed culture of the ancient ones, the Moors, by wearing the mitre and by carrying the staff with 2 intertwined snakes ascending to a pine cone. Both the mitre and the staff are ancient divine symbols identifying the seer's authority from the unseen world / divine order of the cosmos. Class discussion. Catholic emperors monopolized the authority of the holy seer and the divine eye to see over the whole earth as one providence.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, read the next one.
Class discussion. Monarchies were controlled by the seers to whom the people gave allegiance and consent.
Okay, now we'll go to the first and the second one here. Now, yes, the seers controlled the monarchies, the kings, the emperors. They was the one that used to anoint them, bestow the anointed, meaning that the seer would go into meditation. And the seer would meditate and communicate within to the cosmos. When I say within, that's the invisible world, because that's inside of him too, or her. So they would communicate to the inward part and connect themselves to that which they was ordained to communicate with the whole, a relationship, a diplomatic relationship. I mean, they are the ambassadors of the invisible world on earth. They're the kingdom of heaven ambassador. So the seer will go to the hierarchy and meditate and communicate within, and he will ask, who do you want of the houses to rule of either the emperor, or it's a empress, it's a queen, or even a king. And what the cosmos would do, the mother would do, was enlighten him, let him foresee. And then he would go and ask for a particular house. In that house, it may say, how many live in this house? And what happened is the mother and the father will bring all the children with the women and the men. And when they come up there, the cosmos will speak to the seer, and the seer will ordain, pick who was going to sit head of that nation, and they will have to be anointed. The anointing is what we call being open to see the eye. That anointing gives them the power now, that king or the emperor or queen, whoever it may be, to foresee on the level what the seer say. That means they be able to be obedient, and they are chosen. That means the cosmos have anointed them. Their oils represent something. Now that is proper monarchyship, because that monarchy is controlled by the seer. Therefore, he becomes, or she becomes a servant of the people, because the seer is there to protect the people rights, keep them obedience, protect the interests of the unseen world, and make sure the people stay in unity with that, obedient to that. And therefore, the people have to be protected. The seer was the protector, so that the leadership does not abuse that authority. That's why they had to get rid of that, killing prophetess and the prophets. That's why they got rid of them. Class discussion 2, monarchies were created, yes. If you go back ancient time, nations didn't believe in having kings and queens and emperors and empresses. They didn't believe in having that. They had the clan chief or the woman that ran the clan or the tribe. That's how it was. And 2, they decide that they want someone to rule on a higher level than they, because they look at the other nations around him. So the seer then was held with the responsibility to take that petition and go to the unseen world, because he was the only one that could go behind the veil. See, the veil been torn now, but he was the only one that could go behind the veil. It was a veil there. He go behind it and make his sacrifices, then make his supplications and meditations. Then he'll come out after being spoken to, dealt with the unseen world. Then he'll come out and say, bring all the clan family houses to me, and I'll pick. Yes, that's how it was. That's traditionally how it was anciently. Okay, let's go on this class discussion. We have 3, right? Yes, the ancient codes normally was an ordinance and statutes was written by the seer. The seer didn't write them. What the seer does is the seer had what you call a scholar. He would grab a reliable scholar that understands etymology and epistemology, how one uses knowledge, and linguistics to write down what he was saying in that native tongue. Yes, the scholar and the seer. That's why Professor Abdullah's right, etymology is everything. Yes, it is, because if that is written down as the seer said it, that means when it gets translated or the linguists use it in a child language, then you cannot change the originalist meaning of what that says, definition. You cannot do that. When you do that, you throw everything off. Everything becomes crooked now. There's nothing straight when you do that. When you take away the originalist and you pick the structuralism, you don't turn and made it crooked. You made a crook. The line ain't straight no more. That's like building. If you got a measuring tape and you measure a certain distance and you get the level and you level it out, that's how etymology is in language. You ain't using no level. The originalist is the level. In measurements. In translating languages, you need a level. You got to have a level. And what's that level? the originalist meanings and definitions of the etymology. You got to have it. It got to be that way. Even nature, natural things and buildings show you the same thing. You can't do the same thing in language. You can't do that. That's a crook. You don't made a straight line, crooked now. All right, next.
Well, can we pause here for a moment?
Yes.
I want to slow this thing down just a little bit. Now, what is the difference? And we're going to talk about in ancient time periods of civilization and current disposition of our civilization that we're currently in. Now, one was ordained or given the authority of seership. We say one. Okay. We look at that amongst many millions. Today, we look at also there's millions and many who also have the same connection, because there's a new disposition in time when the veil has been lifted. And the connection is the reconnection is being directed back to the energy, the source energy, the source which all things is derived from. We are that source as well. I'm going to recall a time back in 2014 when I was traveling to a land known as Rincon. The jurisdiction is Rincon, Puerto Rico, to a retreat. It was called Reawakening Self-Love. And I remember when I first arrived, the first thing we had to do was take a detox, right? And after that detox, we were told to go and sit on the base of the ocean floor and let the water just come and speak to you. And as you're sitting there, you lose yourself back into the current state of where you are, and you become connected to a state in which you are not familiar with. And things started to occur to where you receive these messages. You don't know what they're coming from. You don't know how they're getting to you. But one of the messages that was given to me was that if you can't see yourself in the water, in the air, in the ethers, if you can't see yourself in all things, you can't see yourself at all. So the seers of today and the seers of old, what is the message here? We have to reconnect ourselves back to source. Now, there were one who was obedient enough. There was ones who were obedient enough to hear the messages and moved forward in those messages of the source that was being guided to them. And because the people did not lend themselves to the same messages, that person was now seen as a authority of connected, because we're all connected from the source. But like we said, now we're in a new disposition of time where the seership should rise up within each one of us who have received the tapping to pay attention to things. Because like you said, you can't stray from your divinity. You become disobedient to it, but you can't stray from it. You can't unsee what you see. So let's talk about the seership, because we're in a public administration and international affairs, and we don't want that to get lost in the importance of governance. So can we get into that connection right there? Because you're right there with the connection between the seerships and the governance. So can we get into that message with what we're going through right now in the classroom?
Well, like the veil been torn from top to bottom, Therefore, everybody, Tamara, right, everybody have a right to free access to that. I mean, that divine source and power, everybody have a chance now to get a taste of that and be anointed by that. And that the only thing about it is, are we willing to go and stand on what already been previously established on a foundation to receive that power? Remember that we have to stand on something in order for that to receive that within to be fully activated. We have to be looking back and standing on the foundation before us. We can't get that because we're not standing on that foundation. And she's right. The development tour is open. You have a right to carry your gifts, sacrifices, and meditations and supplements and frankincense. It's in your communication, your medication. That's your anointing, pulling from within. This is why the Apostle Paul said, I wish all of you was Christ. The people didn't catch that. What is he saying? Hey, I wish y'all just be anointed. Just be anointed, do what the Spirit say. That's it. He knew it, that was for gifts for everybody. Yes. And now, when that happens, the people of the earth, whenever they draft and create, it will be in obedience with the invisible powers of the invisible world. It won't be no conflict, no oppression, no genocide, no apartheid on one another on earth. Absolutely. Well, absolutely. She's right. Nobody will have no evil intent in their heart. Everybody will eat from the ground, eat from the water, flesh of the sea, the herbs. There will be peace. No one will be greedy for dominion or a person, a brother, or sister, or state. Absolutely. That's why Paul said, I wish all of y'all were Christ's. People don't pay attention to that scripture. He said, I wish all of y'all, which means y'all need to be anointed. You need to act from the anointing that's in you. But you have to understand, although we in these bodies, these clay's bodies, but remember this, the mother had children of different shape, symbol, and forms in the cosmos, which are called the princes of the galactic order. Remember, there was a war, her children fought. They have a different nature than you have. They have a celestial nature. They made in their first estate in the cosmos. You are made in a lower form of an atom placed into the nature, into a body. You haven't got your cosmic body yet. I'm going deep now, and you want to know something? They are considered a hierarchy too, because they have been given credit for inspiring ancient civilizations to who? Her disobedient children. Oh yes, they can't die. They in their first estate. They the child of their mother, the cosmic womb. And the father, the mother attribute, the father, the masculine, is the one that punished them. We talk about Shem, the lion went to war. The boar strong. Yes, that's why we have that later on. Thank you, Abdullah. I'm getting a little ahead of the thing. You ain't that sick, huh, Abdullah?
Saladin L.
Saladin L, go ahead. Why you ain't with it?
Islam.
Yeah,
so in this, you're saying that most anyone can more or less be a seer. They would just more or less have to come out with that and express that. Is that what you're saying and what you were saying?
No, what I'm going to say is this right here. Everybody has a right to the anointing within themselves to guide themselves under the principles of the ancient culture. Right. That's what I'm saying. That means you're given the power to foresee, to be anointed to foresee and to have the knowledge and wisdom and get the insight, the learning, and what these ancient civilizations and seers did dealing with the cosmos. That will inspire you and anoint you to be on the same balance, same straight line as that. We haven't been doing that. That makes you a successor of the seer. Because now you succeed the seer by having the same anointing. And able to what? Able to discern danger. Able to discern what is prosperity, prosper for you. When you can't discern danger and what's prosper for your descent long during ages, then you're blind. You're blind. You wear the blindfold.
Right. And also, because you've or there has been discrepancies with what some of Noble Drew Ali has said, does that more or less take away from his effectiveness as a Moorish American or a prophet?
No. It's not. Let me say something. Noble Drew Ali never said in his authority, please hear me out, that he was a prophet. See, this is the problem is, everybody wants to add a comment, a sentence, or a statement to something that's not on that document. Please hear me out. Did you need to know this? He never said, if he never said it, why aren't they saying it? You understand what I'm saying?
I got you.
So remember, critical thinking. If Noble Drew Ali never said that, do critical thinking. Tend to the more scientific, all the brothers. Brother, we need to look at this. This man never even said that himself. Why are we saying it? Then they have to answer you based on that document. Go, Professor Abdullah.
Yes, because we don't want to get to Abdullah said and Shem said. The Articles of Incorporation. Not what Abdullah said, not what Shem said, not what Tamara said, not what Tamara said. According to, I want to hear that. According to the Articles of Incorporation filed by Noble Drew Ali in Cook County, Illinois jurisdiction. Let's start there. See, we got to have discussions on the document. What are you making the claim? Where's the claim made that Drew Ali is a prophet? It's not made. The claim is not made that he's a prophet. So let's start there. Abdullah, you don't know what you're talking about. All right, then I'm keeping my mouth closed. Then you're going to show me the Articles of Corporation where the claim is made that Drew Ali is a prophet. To propagate the faith of who? Mohammedanism. Please hear me, y'all. If anyone claims to propagate the faith of Mohammedanism, and you call anyone a prophet other than Muhammad, you're in trouble. If you say in the Articles of Corporation to propagate the faith of Mohammedanism, and if you call Drew Ali a prophet, something's wrong with that. Muhammad is the prophet, based on what you're saying, based on what's written. Your claim is that Muhammad is the prophet. To propagate the faith of Mohammedanism means first, you're claiming Muhammad to be the prophet. Right? You cannot make any claims to propagate the faith of Mohammedanism unless you claim Muhammad to be the prophet. If you claim Drew Ali to be the prophet, then you can't claim to propagate the faith of Mohammedanism. We got it. Once again, I know what's going on. It's emotional. We got it. We in this psychology of having somebody to worship. That's been handed down, to have somebody to worship. Drew Ali. And even when in the face of evidence, if I were to speak to a Grand Sheik, Grand Governor, Sheikish, Grand Sheikish of the Moorish Science Temple, and actually show them the article of corporation and read it to them. How can you say Drew Ali is a prophet when Drew Ali claimed to propagate the faith? It's in writing. They're going to dismiss it. They're going to be in denial. Because it's what? It's going to tear down their whole foundation. Because they're saying Drew Ali is a prophet. They got to start calling him a prophet. So why ask again, did Drew Ali propagate the faith of Mohammedanism? No, he did not. I know what is in writing, but he did not do the mission. He did not do the mission that's in writing in the Articles of Corporation of Moorish Science Temple America. No sheikh, grand governor, sheikhess of the Moorish Science Temple of America is following the mission of the Articles of Incorporation filed in Cook County. Not one of them doing, not one to this day is doing that. Drew Ali didn't even do it. Drew Ali did not follow the mission as he wrote it down in the Articles of Corporation filed in Cook County. Drew Ali did not do that. We got to lay some solid groundwork here. Solid groundwork. Shem?
Lord Chris.
I'm good.
Really? No. I was just getting back to before we had the break, and I'd asked that question.
We're waiting for you. Hold on, brother Chris. We waiting for you. Not within an hour.
Oh, you did say no. I had there was
no. Chris.
Yeah.
We'll come back. We're gonna come back to follow up questions.
Yes, because that was
when
we came back.
When we came back from break, we caught you first. So
yes,
let's.
Oh, okay. No. It was raining. It was raining heavily here, and I could barely hear.
Okay. Let's follow up.
I was unaware that you did actually call.
Yes. Let's follow back up with that when we do follow up Q&A. Okay.
All right. No problem.
All right. Any questions or discussions about what I said? I mean, I'm not going to ask. See, I'm not going to ask, do you agree with what I'm saying? Because that would be an error. It would be an error for me to ask any of the students, do they agree with me? That's an error. Hear me out. Based on logic. Based on logic. That's an error on my part. That would be an error on my part. Do you have evidence to support a counterclaim? And you wouldn't have any evidence because you got this called the Articles of Corporation. The Articles of Corporation of the Moorish Science Temple. That's the evidence. So then you would have to have, all right, to make a counterclaim, what evidence would you have to have? Because anything outside the Articles of Corporation, that's the Articles of Corporation. Like, what evidence would one have? What one have? I'm doing that for critical thinking. That's all. I mean, this is about teaching how to think. That's what it's about, teaching how to think. If we haven't done that, then we've failed. All right. Yes, go ahead, Tamara.
When we bring up the next slide.
Yes. Yeah, we ready, Shem?
Can we get a reader at class discussion, seers, covenants, and private government?
Class discussion, seers, covenants, and private government. An ecclesiastical government structure exercises exclusive authority over the public communities that are separately recognized. Structure of the ecclesiastical bodies into one national government operating privately to control the general public under the constitutional structure. The creation of a host of clans and tribes into one republic, which is in our modern age known as states. Class discussion, public trust, and public government. People govern among themselves collectively, having authority over their own community and not extending that authority to the ecclesiastical governing body. Class discussion. How the Pope and the Catholic Church preserves ancient customs, culture, and jurisprudence of the seer and seership.
Stop right there. Now, you got discussing class one, public trust and public government, which is led and controlled by the Pope. So now we're gonna open this up for discussions. Why is the Pope considered the benefactor, and why is he considered the emperor over the so-called religious world? This is open for discussion. Like the Moor Science Temple look at Noble Drew Ali as being the prophet of all the Moors. I want to ask that same question. Why is the Pope considered, he's not, but why is he considered as the seer and head and all nations and emperors and kings and kingdoms are under his control? Why? What is he using that allows him to stand? Right. No, not all, excuse me. Let me see. Thank you, Professor. Because there are a lot of Moors that's under control of
people that, hold on, Abdullah, they didn't hear what you said. They didn't hear the rebuttal.
Yes.
Judge
Jim had mentioned all nations, that Pope is under all control on all nations. I'm saying, no, not those under Mohammedanism.
That's right. Thank you, Professor. Yes, thank you. Because he's not, because there's a mass, millions of people of nations that follow after Mohammedanism. And there's a mass majority of people that follow after Catholicism. And what happens is, this is how the world been shaped and controlled under these two, the Mohammedanism and Catholicism. These are the two dominant forces in what they call the new era, the new age, or the new world. Now, we know there's no new world, but to them, that is dealing with ideology, methodology.
All right, stop there, Shim, for a minute, Shim.
Yes,
because Tamber make a good point of making this connection to government. Making this connection to government. All right, now,
Professor,
we're preparing our people become jurists, consuls, consul generals, ambassadors, ministers, and consuls, prime ministers, etc. If you're going to dance again with the international community, you have to know this knowledge. We must understand world politics. This is part of world politics. So this is what Tamara was saying, is making the connection to government. This relates to government. This is effect of world politics. You have millions of Muslims in France. You have millions of Muslims in these European countries. This affects world politics. So we're talking about and this reshaped. This reshaped, when Shem talked about the old world and new world paradigm, so it's a huge paradigm shift and reshaping from the ancient world or old world, and which is the matrilineal principle, which had been in place for thousands of years. And then the true original concept and original intent of seership. So there's been a shift, a paradigm shift, which has an effect on world politics and world governance. This is definitely related. The Pope oversees the coronation of all the kings and queens of Europe, had overseen the coronation, was at the coronation ceremony, and also sanctioned any night orders. So if a king of France established a night order, that had to be sanctioned by the Pope. The king of France or king of England, king of Germany, what authority they have outside the Pope? They didn't have it. The Pope was at the coronation ceremony. The Pope ordained that. Remember, these are Roman states. Europe is a collection. Europe is a large political jurisdiction of a collection of Roman states. Their emperor is the Pope. The emperor of all those European states in Phoenicia, within a large political jurisdiction called Europe, the head is the Pope. He has the galactic cross. We'll get into that next week. All right, Jim.
Well, let's correct that. He is usurping the galactic cross. Let's correct that.
All right. Let's put this in balance.
Yeah, let's put it in balance and perspective.
The Pope holds the keys. I mean, they're suppressing the ancient knowledge of this cosmological cycle that the galactic cross represents. There's a library that's over a mile long underground, Vatican. So they hold the ancient knowledge, but that divine knowledge, you can't control that. You can't control the divine knowledge. Can't control the unseen world, stimulating the minds of the people. We get into next week the galactic cross. And what does that mean? All right? So that's for next week. All right, Shim?
Okay.
We have a hand up, James Weeks Bay. I'm going to meet lower your hand and you can present your questions for this class discussion.
Thank you, Sister Tamara. My comment is related to the question. I think Shim posed it, but I thought the question was how does the Pope exercise this level of authority, and it's from stealing from our forefathers, stealing the concept of patah. Saying that what's the term they use? He's the vice Jared or he sits at the side of the father. So, but essentially it's through theft. The vicar of Christ. Thank you,
yes.
Thank you, Sister Tamara.
Yes,
He claims he's the vicar of Christ. So see, in saying that, he almost says that. He's the vicar of Christ, embodiment of a physical man, when that's not the right concept. The concept that predates Christ as a male child is the enlightenment of opening your third eye, the bringing up the energy center from your Kundalini energy through all your chakras to open up a direct connection to the divine world. So I would say that he's doing it through theft and false concepts, bastardizing and twisting the concepts of our foreparents.
Absolutely. Yes, that's right. You're absolutely right. Meaning that he's aware, or whoever is a female or male, whoever it may be that's holding that seat, is aware that that has been stored upon people to be the ambassadors to that invisible world. he's claiming, he's wrapping all that up into one himself and saying that he's the only one, just like different than Prophet Muhammad. Just that Prophet Muhammad said he was the seal of the thing. The Pope never claimed that. But by persecuting earlier Gnostic Christians and Jews and submission and killing them, that means you got the same claim. You're just not quoting. You say you can't see. You in my way now. You don't supposed to be able to have understanding. You don't supposed to be able to recognize what is going on divinely. You don't supposed to be able to come from within yourself. And that's why they catch you praying. Oh, yes, I want you to hear this too. If you did not pray the way Prophet Muhammad said pray, and you got caught praying in another kind of way, you got put to death or beaten. So did the Catholic Church positive that doctrine too under Catholicism. If you got caught meditating and they walk in and say, who are you praying to? And you say, I'm praying to the Christ within to be anointed, they'll kill you. Come on now. That was being, they don't want to talk, you don't want to talk about this. You want to talk about the Moors as dirty trash. Talk about us as dirty trash. Come on now. Talk about your damn self. All right. Everybody talking about the Moors like a, all right. Come on. Let's finish reading.
Let's make this correlation between government. Now, you talk about the Catholic power and governmental principles. Now we're getting into war issues within the body of one who want to exercise their innate divinity within them. What is a model? Let's look at an example of that. We're going to give an example. Let's look at William Penn. He was a
Quaker.
He was, how did he become he was defined as a Quaker because he went against the
regular traditions of the Catholic Church.
He went against the traditions of the Catholic Church, and he was thrown out of Oxford University.
And put in prison for a minute.
Placed in prison for a minute. So he started a society of friends now in which that he was given charter to set up the charter. So let's get into that governmental principle of religion.
Okay, we get somewhere now.
Yeah, let's get into that because we got to make the connection.
Oh, we get somewhere now. Oh, did you not know that William Penn learned his divinity through the Lenape Moors? One did not know that William Penn understand the essence of divinity after the Lenape Moors. This is why William Penn went to the Lenape Moors to create the city of Philadelphia to deal so where he can worship outside the control of the English church and the Roman Catholic. For the Quakers to have a sovereign providence to worship their spiritual festivals. They hid that. I can pull that document up and prove that. That's right. So William Penn, yes, he learned the spiritual, he learned the doctrine, which he called the Quakers follow, was after the traditions of the Lenanapes, and that's why he went to the Lenanapes to have a separate jurisdiction where the Catholic and the English crown could not come and persecute them and practice their spiritual festivals. Now that's true. This is why the Quakers right now, what you see practice after the tradition of the Quakers, the Amish and the Mennonites, which is the Germans, the Portuguese, the Dutch, the Swedes, who's following the concepts of the Bible.
But weren't they all also a part of the Society of Friends with Penn?
Yes.
Okay, let's make that connection.
Yes. France, Spain, all of them. We got that later on, the Monarchy Charter, where they all later, I'm just going to briefly talk about it. You will show you the next class and how all of them, like Terrence, that's not the class? Okay, well, we'll have it brief, we'll put it together somewhere in the curriculum down the line and show you how all the Marginated Moors went to the Roman Catholic Pope to say that they want to be able to own their estates. They want to be able to have their prosperity, hand down their inheritance and everything. and they want to be a co-benefactor along with the Pope. That's why you see the king say, most Christian king and defender of the faith. Nobody never look at that when the king write. Most Christian king. That's the wrong concept. It should be most Catholic king, not most Christian king. That's why somebody said the Muslim nations was fighting with the Christian nation. That's wrong. That's not true. They was fighting with Catholic nations, not Christian nations. That have to be straightened out. That's all.
So this holy experiment, it was called the Holy Experiment. The Holy Experiment of William Penn consisted of the people who desired to not be under the doctrines of man, but to connect themselves with the divinity of nature.
Yes, and spirit, divinity. That's right, absolutely.
Okay.
That's right, Tamara, and that's right. That's right, Tamara. She said it right. They want to be from under the control of the crowns and Catholicism, because the hand of the Pope, Catholicism, in the hand of the Pope, the crowns and the Pope, that doctrination they had under Catholic, being Catholic. You remember before, if you wasn't a Catholic, you got persecuted. If you wasn't a Muhammad follower, you have to be indentured servant. I'm going to show you something. Even the Catholics, Pope, and the Sultans fear coming into Morocco when they got here. They fear the people here. This is why the conquest was made so hard, so disguised, so cleverly put together to take the mind, the wisdom, philosophy for being handed down, because these people here in these tribes and clans was like nothing never before in the world. We had to get them. That's why they never came in here. You ever notice the area corps, the Lenape was never invaded or fell under Mohammedanism? Why? I'm gonna tell you why. It's an ancient principle going back during the time of Prophet Muhammad and the Pope, that they observed that when you enter their land and conquer them, if you move in to destroy what they stand on, that nation was cursed. So what they did was they said, we'll control the jurisdiction, the empire jurisdiction, but allow them to have their sovereignty among themselves unless a curse fall on us. They feared us. Don't get it messed up. We was feared. Without an army, we was feared. You know why? Because we was connected to the spirit, the anointing. We was able to go into ourselves. Call to the mother, the Father, help us, Lord, help us. And we got delivered. We lost that. We're looking at power of hands, war. No, that don't win no wars. A man can't lift a sword unless his spirit tell him how to use it or what it's for. So he did with divinity. Come on, let's go.
Well, let's pause.
Yes.
We don't want to run too fast on this. Let's make that connection, because you just spoke on it. The governments, the warring powers. You had Catholicism warring in the region of the European region, that the European new states that were created. You had the Mohammedanism that was warring also in another region. So you have these dispositional wars going on within the doctrine. And you have this area of what's called the Holy Land, because it's connected. It's connected to the connected nature, the source, the matrilineal principles that's non-tapped. It doesn't follow either rule. It doesn't follow the rules of Catholicism. It does not follow the rules of Mohammedanism. So people had to find a way of escape. And this was the portal. And it brought the different people escaped to this portal and came here to find asylum and refugee in this Holy Land.
Yep.
That was not in war based off doctrines. Now, we have an issue going on that occurred where the arm kept stretching out with Catholicism. And now it started making its way over to the Holy Land, to the Holy Seat, and started reaching her arm here. You have Mohammedanism reaching his arm into the Holy Land. and now the fabrics is now being intertwined. You got all three now being intertwined. That's right here in our disposition, what's going on right now. Because that's what people not, you put it all together, you summed it up. One need to see the governing principles and fighting and warring that is going on right now. The war we have going on right now is a war of doctrines versus nature. And it's in our governmental society. And now it's which one is going to reign supreme.
That's right, because remember these doctrines and opinions that the school of thoughts that's being made up and put together by the creators is the thing that's going inside of people and them making a determination. When children are born, they're shaped and molded in this and mentally, in divinity, the mind. So when they shape and when they form any kind of government, the government structure that they form is under the obedience of what is their creator, the doctrines, these doctrines. That's why the government falls right under them, under control, because it's come out of the people, because the people has been indoctrinated with this. And if they indoctrinated and they raised in this, then that means anything that they put together as a structure, they're going to look to their creator. They're going to put it right under their creator. And who's their creator? The false concepts, the false doctrines, man-made doctrines.
So now it's time for the people to decide. This is the ultimate time of decision for the people to decide who's your master.
Yep.
It's up to the people.
That's right.
Do you want peace, or do you want to continue to stay in servitude?
That's cut and dry. That's as plain as you can make it. You can't get no plain than that. You gotta pick sides now. The mother, the father of the cosmos, the Lord God. Yes, the mother, the masculine father. You have to decide now whose side you on. Are you on the side of saying, hey, listen, I'm going to go along with these men and women seers because they balanced civilization. They didn't murder. They didn't take. They didn't do this and that. I'm going to stand on this. Like what William Penn ran and did. He ran and stood. He went to the Lenape Moors, who were spiritual people, and he sat down with them. And the concepts that they had made him say, can I have a piece of the land so I can use for the Quakers? Why he asked that? Because they're not under control of the Pope, nor are they under control of the crowns. So yes, Tamara, right. What came out of Quakers? William Penn government. Yes. The Quakers are really one is William Penn prosperators. They're the successors. His family, they all Quakers. So that Quaker, United States don't have jurisdiction over that. You would never see them you would never see them in a federal court. If they have a problem, they go to the crown. They go to the consul or the ambassador. Somebody said, well, how do you know? Do you ever hear about a Quaker in the court? Or Amish? Now, I could point to some examples that where the DA, one of the most vicious DA in Montgomery County, right? In Montgomery County. The Amish had it where a man raped his daughter. You hear me? They say, we're going to judge him according to the Torah. And nobody believe that. That means he's dead. The DA intervened and say you can't do that. That's the Commonwealth Constitution of law. The Amish invoke the preamble status before United States was formed. The DA got on national TV and said this. They have a law that we can't intervene in what? They civic affairs, they disputes among themselves. Oh, wait a minute. I can do even further. When a man was selling drugs, one of the Mennonites, and got caught, the Mennonites, they was trying to prosecute the Mennonites. They said you can't prosecute him. The government. The government was trying to prosecute him. Was here in Pennsylvania, same way Pennsylvania, the Mennonites in Pennsylvania. Hold on, let me make sure I'm correct. No, excuse me. I believe it's New Jersey. He was selling meth. They step in and say, no, you're not. If they allow him to prosecute him, they got the whole community. You say he's not a citizen of the state. What? Let me hear that again. Oh, whoa. He's not a citizen of the state or the United States? Then what is he a citizen of? What is he a citizen of? He's a citizen of the state in the United States. He is what? He's a preamble citizen. That means he's protected by the Crown Law and the treaties. And guess what? They did not prosecute him. So Tamara is right. It does tie to government. It ties to political power and it ties to civics. It does. Go ahead. All right, Rita, 3 minutes. We might take another question. A statement, yes. Thank you, Tamara. Yeah, she's right. It ties to government. She's looking back. This is not Tamara. Oh, I'm betting this. I just found this out myself. She looked back. She read and researched the jurisprudence and positive law, conscience, decisions, constant foundational structure, building on it, excavation. And she made a determination, something wrong. Because you're acting like, why is that separate from the United States and the Second Amendment? Why was that amendment put in there in the Constitution? They lied to you. They would lie to you and say, oh, the people, before they had this and that, they were secure in their religion. No, they wasn't. The planet was not. No, they wasn't. That was put there by the lower prosperity to protect their common law right that they had under their religious festivals and make sure that government that they create can never make any laws affecting or changing their way of life. Cut and dry. Go back and look at the colonies and see if these planners have protection, religious protection. No, they didn't. No, they did not. Somebody said, yeah, no, they didn't, because that's why you would never had a Protestants and Catholic wars. If they did. They was killing people that were spiritual, believing in nonviolence, people believing in prayer, meditating, praying, pulling women in, telling the ethers, protectors, curse these people, they rotten, they dirty, they're not following. Them the kind of people they killed. And to them people got fed up and said, you know what? We got to do more than just pray. We're going to protect ourselves. And they started going to war. That's when the war between the Catholics and the Protestants. Somebody said, what is that war? Those who do not want to fall under the Catholic doctrine, no different than the medieval days of Muhammad, when people did not, the people that followed the earlier seers said we cannot follow him. So what they did was went out and kill him. Break. Yes.
I love it.
Yes, class in session. Okay, can we get a reader? I think we have the ancient principles of seership are being maintained through the Pope and the Catholic Church. Can we get a reader there?
Let's see where. Oh, ancient principles of seerships are being maintained through.
Yes, it is. That's what we stopped at discussion in class, how the Pope and the Catholic Church preserve ancient customs. We went down how they preserve it in the government, remember? Yeah.
I came here a little late, so.
That's how you right. You in the right spot.
I don't lost my place because I don't see
So
it.
the ancient principles right there. Start right there where you was at.
Oh, ancient principles of seerships are being maintained through the Pope, Catholic Church, Pope, Cardinal, Archbishop, Bishop, Priest.
Okay, stop right there. Now you look at the ancient, modern, Catholic, Roman states.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not ancient. Let's say new and modern. Let's say new and modern. Thank you, Tamara. Thank you. New and modern. That's making a claim in the ancient Phoenician territory.
Well, I just want the class to know why you're making that correction, because you said the word ancient and modern.
Right.
You can't use the word ancient and modern in the same content. Because if you're talking about ancient principle, that is the Christian doctrines of, we are the Holy Roman See.
Right.
The modern is the
new.
So we got to make sure we keep that correction on the record.
Yes, thank you, Tamara. Thank you for the correction. If you notice in the modern new concept of age, they call it a new age, a new world. When you look at the kings and queens, when they were doing something, you notice that you always had a cardinal or an archbishop or bishop or priest involved. Even in the royal family, some of the princes or the barons or the dukes or the earls was also in that rank. They became cardinals. So people don't talk about this. They became archbishops. They became bishops, and some was priests, meaning that royal blood pedigree, they was converted under Catholicism. Catholicism, excuse me. They was converted under that. And by being converted in that royal family, they became cardinals, they became archbishops, and this is how the Roman Catholic Church, which is through the Pope as the Holy Seer, gained control over the Caesar status, the emperor status, based on that, the doctrinism. See, doctrinism is very powerful. And this is what's running government today, doctrinism. Because it's in the people, and when the people form governments, they're looking back to these principles, these doctrinated principles, in controlling their social trust among themselves. Go ahead, read on. Reader, ecclesiastical law, the ancient jurisprudence of the seer, and
Excuse me.
Yes.
Ecclesiastic laws and the ancient jurisprudence of the seer and seership, the two intents of the seers. One, seers who have the interest in protecting the people. Two, the seer who claims to be prophet to become the matriarch over the government and the people.
Mm-hmm.
The jurisprudence.
We're going to get to it. It's going down here.
Jurisprudence explains examples of the protection of people. Revelations 12, 1 through 5, King James Version. 1, and there appeared a great wonder in the heavens, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and up on her head a crown of 12 stars.
All right, now we're getting somewhere. We're dealing with, okay, read the whole thing. Okay. Yes, go ahead.
2, and she being with child cried, traveling in birth, and pained to be delivered. 3, and there appearing another wonder in the heavens, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. 4, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. 5, and she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up onto God and to his throne.
Yeah. What we have here is a seer. What we have here is a seer seeing something dealing with nature, something in nature, which is a nation. That's the woman that's describing a nation. That nation is covered with the sun. That's divinity. That's power. That's anointing. It's standing under the moon. That means it's standing under a cycle. It has a crown. It means it's royal. That nation is considered something precious to the cosmos, the mother of the cosmos. That's why it's explained like that. And because the mother of the cosmos and the masculine has set that nation as to them as the nation on earth that they consider as being first in reputation and receiving the revelation are my gems, my jewels, my philosophy. When that happened, the children of the cosmos, the first, I told you, the celestial forms and shapes and symbols that was created as the rulers of the cosmic order, the princes, that dynasty that fought, and some got cast out, me cast down. They got cast down, put down, me out of reputation. They was also dealing with the nations and people in the earth. And they took these nations of the world and gathered them together to come against that nation that is favored. When they did that, they cast out a flood. Because you have to understand in astronomy, when a prophet or seer speaks something, and it may come to pass, like I told Abdullah, 300 years later, what they would do as an age go by, like 100 years, a new rulership will come in, a monarchy or king. He would ask the astronomers and priests, what is this right here? They would look at the stars and stuff. They would start trying to predict the time that the cosmos will send that power or gift into the woman for deliverance, for wisdom and knowledge, so they can kill it. They can kill that woman or man, child, when they get in the world, they can kill her. How they do it? They say, in my rulership, I want every firstborn child that's from that lineage to be killed while they're born. Now, why did that happen? The dragon put that order out for a specific house. Listen to me. In order to protect that royal house, where that mother, that child is coming through, what the earth did was offer up the other women on the earth as a sacrifice to save that child when they come in the world. So that's where the flood said, the earth opened their mouth and swallowed the flood. The earth is the woman body, her babies were slaughtered to save that other child. They went first. That's a sacrifice. That's the earth opened up, swallowing the flood. That's why you want to know why they're so hard on us? That's why they come across. Nobody in the world, but like Tamara say, in the Holy Land we at now, no people has been oppressed like us. Everybody, every nation in the world got their foot in our back and is stomping us. Why? Come on, now ask yourself a question. Why is every nation in the world beating on us? Why is every nation in the world trying to teach us their culture, their way, their principles? Why did not let them look at our ancestors? And let us determine among ourselves. Why would you just let us pray and read our book and leave us alone? Why everybody trying to doctrinize us? That's why. That's your answer. You got to understand. Nature and divinity works together. We're not taught to think about divinity. Just look at the new age, the new world. Don't worry about that. You know, they say the old saying, what you don't know won't hurt you. Oh my goodness, I believed that when I was growing up. What you don't know won't hurt you. Then I found that that's a lie. What you don't know will hurt you. Now, anybody know this? They used to say, what you don't know will hurt you. When I grew up, I trusted that. I had confidence that I'm serious. Until I realized that's a lie. What you don't know will hurt you. You know who made me to know that? My father. I'm going to say, he made me know that principle. What you don't know will hurt you. Okay? We can go on. You can go on. Next reader.
The analysis of Revelation chapter 12, verses 1 through 5. A nation is being protected with divinity. A woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Dragon, the powerful kingdom that is opposing the woman. And the kingdom stood, and the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. Revelation chapter 12, verse 16. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of his mouth. Flood cast out of the dragon's mouth symbolizes destruction, represents the children being sacrificed in order to protect a child who has been bestowed the seership. Shows what happens when a people go against the jurisprudence of the seership. Ezekiel's wheel represents the zodiac. Ezekiel chapter 1, verses 20 to 21. Verse 20, wherever the spirit wanted to go, they went, and the wheels rose along with them, for the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. Verse 21, when those went, these went, and when those stood, and when those rose from the earth, the wheels rose along with them, for the spirit of living creatures was in the wheels. Ezekiel's wheel represented in the Moorish Imperial Restoration Caucus seal. The zodiac is a band of 12 groups of stars, known as the constellation. Our ancestors charted the constellation to measure the circumference of the earth and to determine time. The sun remains in each sign for 30 days, which equals 360 days. The equation is 12 times 30 equals 360. The slow westward movement of the equinoxes, vernal and autumnal equinoxes, and the solstices.
Autumnal.
Thank you very much. Autumnal. And the solstices, summer and winter solstices, which are carried 30 degrees or one constellation along the ecliptic from the position they occupy. This westward motion of the equinoxes along the ecliptic is called the precession of the equinoxes. The precession of the equinoxes is connected to the axis of the earth, undergoing a precessional motion similar to that of a top spinning, with its axis tilted. In about 25,920 years, the axis completes a cycle and returns to the position from which it started. Every 2,152 years, the vernal equinoxes moves in regression 30 degrees and 1 degree every 72 years. For nearly 2,000 years, the sun ushers in spring when she enters Aries, summers when the sun goes into Cancer, autumn when the sun passes into Libra, and winter when the sun moves into Capricorn. Prior to sun moving into these four zodiac signs, the sun in Taurus ushered in the spring. The sun in Leo was the start of summer. The sun moving into Scorpio began autumn. And the sun, Aquarius, was the inception of winter. This ancient wisdom of timekeeping and measurement passed down by our ancestors was guided civilizations for centuries. Many utilized clocks, watches, and cell phones to find out the time during the day. GPS is used to to guide people to their destinations. People look to calendars as a guide in determining the day during the course of a year. Also, calendars such as the Venus calendar are a great tool of knowing when to plant and harvest. Navigators use the Big Dipper, Polaris, the North Star, and other stars to chart their way to their destinations on the high seas. The zodiac indeed has a huge impact on our daily lives.
All right. Yeah, I wanted to offer that to you. Now, providing more information, when you're talking about the zodiac, we're looking at timekeeping and measurement. So, in all, looking at the measurement, 1,800 nautical miles between each zodiac sign. We use that knowledge to measure the circumference of the earth and charting the zodiac. So you're looking at the measurement of the circumference of the earth and also timekeeping. Timekeeping of the ages, as I pointed out here. This knowledge is very important, and this is why I wanted to be detailed in this writing about the zodiac, so that we can see what I've observed even from these classes over the past almost 2 years now is that, and I've seen a huge development in the students 2 year over the 2 year period, that the more we know, the better we're able to guide. Education is paramount. What to do next? The education will guide you. All right.
Now, connect that to the government operations and what people see on the day-to-day cycles and how governments are also guided by these same principles.
All right. Well, in connecting this to government, you see here, this is government. The planting. Knowing the ages. Every 2,152 years, the vernal equinox moves 30 degrees of retrogression. This is government. What Tamara's talking about is the offices and agencies, but this knowledge guides the society of knowing the circumference of the earth, of charting timekeeping and measurement, of charting the seasons, charting the precession of the equinoxes. This is government. You're governing the society with this knowledge, though this is not all of the knowledge that's used to govern society, but this is a very important piece of knowledge that's used to govern society.
Like case in point, tomorrow is quote unquote daylight savings time. So the government utilized the precession of the time, the changes to be able to change the ability to be able to form according to the light source.
Yeah, that's artificial.
Right.
Let's
yes.
talk about that because you mentioned
yes.
The daylight saving time is artificial.
As what Groundhog Day and things of that nature.
So let's stay on daylight saving time.
Yes, because that occurs tomorrow.
Yes, that's not natural. Like daylight saving times is not something, a creation of nature. That's a creation of man. In the Midwest, because this deals with, planting and harvesting, and also the increasing the work day. All right, so they wanted to increase the daylight or extend the work day. So they came up with this daylight saving times. It's artificial. So it's not something that occurs, where the clock falls back or spring forward, fall back. That's not something that's fixed in nature. That's something that man created for economics. That was based on the Midwest, and it's still being used today, but there's no need to use that.
Professor Abdullah, also dealing with weather, when they were able to predict a storm, a disaster, or rain, or the weather, that falls in that same.
All right, so let me address that. There we go. All right. Let's talk about insurance. Terrace area. All right. So I said this dealing with government, talking about insurance and insurance and weather prediction. Oh, you're a meteorologist, and can you see this in movies? Well, we need to move the people. Now, insurance companies going to have a hard time with that because you got insurance policies that got to be paid out, and so you got a wrestling now with the meteorologists and the astronomers and meteorologists. Then you have the you know government officials. You got the investors, bond holders, insurance. All right, that's all right. That's you talk government now. No, this is real talk. We're talking government because this is issues that we're going to have to deal with. Real issues that we're going to have to deal with. So now, this knowledge. No, yes, this going to be it's a struggle. It's a struggle because you're talking economics. Investment. Which one wins out? Which one wins out? All right. So, this is what happened to be deliberated among us in government chambers. All right. Just projecting us to be at that level already. As this is public administration, international law. This is also part of this public administration, international law knowledge. Because you have meteorologists, you got investment, you have insurance, you have bonds. So you talk about functioning government. You will have a platform. We'll have our own platform. We'll have trading and investments. We'll have international trade and commerce with China and France and England, and Iraq and Germany, and so forth. So these are issues that you're going to have to deal with when you're looking at weather shifts, climate changes. All right, that affects insurance. Tamara, you want to go because you can. Tamara is in salvage. So talk about when there's a flood, hurricane flood, great flood, and Hurricane Sandy and etc.
Well, there's a disposition in time where these corporations, through the mandates of the government, creates a time period for disasters. They create that time period to begin on June the 1st when you're dealing with wind and water, June the 1st to November the 1st. So we're just coming off a wind and water disposition of calamity, and they forecast the payouts based off the jurisdictional regions. And if you pay attention to the zones, and typically they want to hit the four corners for the wind and waters, right? The circular. Now, when you're dealing with when you're dealing with the fire and the earthquake, now keep in mind this. I'm still talking astrology now. We're still talking divinity. So when you're dealing with the fire and the earth, there's a disposition they have claimed to occur during the time period of December to May. So that's when they have determined the calamities to occur for the fire in the earth. So they have to forecast which jurisdiction will receive the influx or become insolvent to the crown because they have not produced enough in order to give back to their master, the king. So, or either they have produced and they get what you call, you know how they call them now, oh, I got my refund. So when the states have produced enough for the king will give back a refund in the form of calamity. And this one you have what you call, we need some FEMA money. So just pay attention to those dispositions. Just wanted to give that up to you. They even create a benchmark. And unfortunately, they have made the people the payer and the players of a wicked game.
Shem, you want to add?
Yes, that is true, because if you have the weather, and you have the one that is looking at foreseeing the condition of the weather that may come in the next 30 days, or a disaster, a flood, a hurricane, or a tornado, a whirlwind, and they see that the disaster, they do what you call a propagated proposal on what the damage could do. What it does is get the insurance bondholders ready to get their affairs in order. It allows the government to get legislature ready and proposals ready to release funds to bail out the insurance companies. Because remember, the insurance companies are licensed under the United States and the states of origin. So the states are the underwriter. So are the United States. And the underwriter under that is the law proprietors. So they are getting everything ready, Abdullah say, from the bondholder to bear the bond, up to those who are the call the holders in due course. So that's two different things. Bond bearers, holders in due course. And what they do is they look to this science that Professor Abdullah had broken down, the ancient science. They are looking at the heavenly body and looking at how everything, the winds are blowing, how the stars, how the moon position is. They're looking at this to make this determination. And this is affecting government. This is controlling government because it affects wildlife, it affects people, it affects homes, it affects people protection of shelter, food, farming, agriculture, fishing. So this affects everything. And to make that determination is based on this science here. So I'm very glad that this is government, because this coming from the cosmos. This is the legislative order that govern nature. The divine, this is government. He's right. This is the first order of government. In order for this to be like it is, this has to be government first. So I thank Professor Abdullah for putting this together for us, and Tamara for breaking down the bonds, because this all ties to government. Thank you. Reader, can we get a reader?
Yeah, reader, yes.
Yes, can we get a reader?
The seven golden candlesticks, the cosmic power. Revelation 1:13. And in the midst of the seven candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with the garment down to the foot and girt about the paps with the golden girdle. Revelation 1:20. The mystery of the seven stars, which thou sawest in my right hand, and the seven golden sticks. The seven stars are the angels of the seven churches, and the seven candlesticks which thou sawest are the seven churches.
Now you hear that? Now, remember, this old science, ancient science, was when they taught by Abdullah right here about the angles, the shape, forms, and symbols. Now, these are spirits. These are the angelic, what they call the celestial children, that keep the legislative power to govern the celestial realm. And by doing that, it governs the churches, the nations. The church means nations. Because the nations are supposed to be on this high order. They're supposed to be in alignment with this, not crooked. And when that happens, that's why a seer is selected and ordained to correct that, to make that line straight again, so that we won't be cursed on the earth. Somebody said, where all these tornadoes coming from, and where all this coming from, and why this happening? And sometimes you don't understand. You try to blame it on HARP. But let me tell you something about that system they got HARP. It ain't tearing up, ain't gonna tear up their land. It ain't gonna mess up their market. Remember this, that the creators of that is not going to use it to destroy their markets. They're not going to use it to destroy their interests in a nation. What they are doing is they are acting constructive to control humanity. They using HAARP is based on the science of the cosmos. They bending the elements to bring destruction on the people of the earth so they can feel as though they're the Lord God. Where it's coming from. Now, we just read Abdullah Wright the Masons. You have a order in the cosmos that's vanished, has no longer have no power. But they use divinity to deceive the nations as if they, the Lord God, they the mother. They want to be in the place of the mother and the father. They can't be that. They the child. That's why the war happened. And this is why you look at Professor Wright, you look at into these Masonic or the Masonic fraternity orders, they are implicating that structure. Why? Because that is an ancient hierarchy structure. And they feel as though if they imitate that among themselves, they're rulers on the earth. They're trying to bring that cosmic high order on earth among themselves, but they was not designated for that. But they're still holding it, they're holding the knowledge. They know the value and power of that knowledge. But it belongs to us. That's right. It belongs to us. And they can't do nothing about it, but sit back and look and say, we don't want them to know. Let's doctrinate them so they won't know. Because if they know, got a problem. So that's why it's very important. This is all government. Listen to me. You cannot have government here on earth and not first have it in the unseen world. That's impossible. You cannot tell me that a tree, a flower, a seashell, an animal born in the sea, flesh on the land, birds having intercourse and multiplying, the wind's blowing, the snow, the frost is coming out of the wind house of the cosmos, and the snow dropping just enough, the wind's blowing just enough to keep the earth on its axle without messing up. You can't tell me there ain't no legislative government order govern that. It's impossible to say it's here, but it's not there. It's impossible. Let's go on. Let's finish reading. Next reader.
I can go again if nobody's gonna go.
I'll go. I can do it. Is that okay?
Yes, yes. Go ahead. Right ahead.
Okay. The characteristic of the manifestation of the divine order, the feminine principle characteristic of the one monarchy, the nucleus revealing herself through her divine creation. The creator hides her secrets in darkness. Darkness represents a way of concealing the secret which is manifested through light. The cosmic relationship between the sun and the moon. The sun represents light. Moon, the reflection of the sun's light. Without the sun, the moon reflects darkness. Cosmic relationship between the sun and the earth. The characteristic of the manifestation of the divine order, bull, lion, eagle, man. Bull equals strength and reproduction, mating with the female. The lion equals the divine ruler and protector. The eagle represents the divine eye, the divine overseer. Man equals the masculine principle.
Okay, real briefly before we get into seed, we have not. It's been kept from us what our seers foreseen. And what happened was they had people battling, and people start thinking the separation of, well, his or her and God is a woman. They don't understand what that means. They don't have the knowledge and the philosophy haven't been passed down to know what that means. Now, anytime you look at the intent of the cosmic mother. Now, somebody said, what do you mean, Shem, a cosmic mother? A mother is when something comes from something. Everything that exists in the cosmos, the heavens, and on earth comes from something, a source. That's a mother. It's feminine. How you know this, Shem? Well, when they came down to the earth, they pulled out a male and female. That's their intent. That's her intent. The masculine is the male, which you hear him, is the masculine in this. You have the ego, which is all the divine providence, means above all, see everything. The eye, like I said in Revelation, I've seen the cherubims have eyes within and without. The eye represents light, knowledge, to know and see all things. The lion, that's the war. Remember, these are not separate creatures. These are attributes of the mother and the father. And these are the principles. There's one, but these are attributes or manifestations. You got the lion, that's war. Conquer. You got the eagle, you got the bull, strong. Abdullah broke this down a while ago, these principles. What happened is you need these to run government. In ancient time, a government always had a seer. Now I'm gonna give you an example. In Hapapatah, when the priests and the prophets could not protect the nation, and their nation came under a phantom, or someone invaded the nation and was winning, that Pharaoh would get that seer and them priests and bring them before us and say, what's going on here? And if they could not get that curse or that phantom or get them back in strong position, they'll put all the seers to death. He said, you're no good to me. Because why? Because the unseen power is not manifesting itself to you. You got to die, they kill you. So what the emperor would do is sort out in his empire other nations under his control or her control and say, is there one man or woman among that nation that has the power to foresee the eagle, to foresee the danger while we're going through? That's why seer is important. All right, you can read on. Let's go read on. Okay, now questions. You can open up for questions. Yes, Q&A. Statements, questions, criticism.
Now we're doing questions overall over the entire class.
Yes, the whole, everything.
Now, Lord Krista, you want to open back up with your question that you had tabled?
Chris?
Yeah, I'm here this time. Yeah, I'm here this time. Hey, and the rain just came down again. All right, so no. So what I was saying prior was that sometimes the information that are written by seers is a little bit, I would say, if we are not on the same frequency as the author, right? It's a possibility that sometimes when we read, we misinterpret and not understanding exactly what the seer saw, for lack of a better term, you know. So I'm saying is when we look at documentation and cast a judgment or a critique or even our opinion, are we do we know for a fact that what we're saying is so, or is it just opinion?
All right.
That's a question.
Chris, that was you missed something. You mentioned it was the question was related to Drew Ali's literature. When you first asked it, you mentioned it wasn't Sears, it was Drew Ali's literature.
Oh yeah. So okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So no, that was it. That was it. I just want you to. That was it.
All right.
Yeah, that was it. So let's stay with that.
Okay.
So now I want to ask you. Let's look at a piece of bring forth a piece of Drew Ali's literature that you have in question that we may be misinterpreting. That give us something that we can chew on.
I mean, no. I wasn't specifically talking about any specific inference of a piece of material. That was a general question in that, right? But what I can do is that next week I can have all the points, right? But being that that's what we are covering today, I was just speaking in general over all the material, even the piece that you brought forward. I just want to know, right?
What piece is that, Chris?
Which was the bylaws? I think it was it the bylaws that you had mentioned?
I mentioned the Articles of Corporation filed in Cook County.
Right, the articles, right, and then you mentioned
the divine warning.
Right, and the divine warning. Those two documents.
Yes.
Right.
So what's the question?
So based on okay, let's go back. So let me get these questions fresh in my head because the conversation has progressed. So let's go back. And so you had said if you can repeat, so my question can reformulate.
All right. I mentioned in the divine warning. Do you have that available, Tamara? The Articles of Corporation. The Articles of Corporation filed in Cook County, Illinois.
Okay.
So mentioned the purpose. What is the Articles of Corporation under the Legislative Act of Illinois? The paperwork. Drew Ali did not draft. He did not draft the paperwork. He didn't draft the questions. All right. He didn't draft the form. Drew Ali didn't draft the form.
Okay.
The form is under the laws of Illinois. Let's start there. The form.
Okay.
The form that Drew Ali filled out. The form that he filled out and answered the questions. He didn't draft that. All right. Let's start there. Now, the purpose of the Moorish Science Temple: to propagate the faith of Mohammedanism. That's there. So what could I possibly be misinterpreting?
Okay, so
my claim is that Drew Ali did not follow. He was not in line with what's in the Articles of Corporation. He was not in line with that. The whole Circle 7 Quran, that let me correct it. Excerpts of the Aquarian Gospel. It's not the Circle 7 Quran. I know what's written on the cover. I mean, you people, it's on the cover. I got that. On the cover, Circle 7 Quran. I got that. But it's not the Circle 7 Quran. It is excerpts of the Aquarian Gospel. Let's be real. Identify what it really is. It is excerpts of the Aquarian Gospel. and not the Circle 7 Quran. Let's have discussions on that.
Okay.
It's not the Circle 7 Quran. It's excerpts of the. There's no Circle 7 Quran.
That's true.
It's excerpts. There's no debating. There's no back and forth. It's excerpts of the Quran Gospel. It's nothing.
Right.
There's nothing to dispute. People would just say, well, this is what the cover reads. But it's excerpts of the Circle 7 Quran.
I mean, the Quran
That's a
Gospel.
fact.
Okay.
There's nothing in question. That's a fact. All right, go ahead, Chris. Chris, I presented my claim in support.
Okay, so with these, what I want to do is just get a better understanding, right? With these claims, with this claim
and support, claims and support.
Claim and?
No, you said with these claims.
With this claim.
And support. No, stop there.
I can't. It's raining again, so I could barely hear you.
I didn't just make claims.
You made a claim.
And support.
Oh, okay. Right.
It will be incomplete.
Okay.
I have to stop you. Can't, because then if I don't say anything, all right, I'm letting that stand. I can't let that stand.
Okay.
I didn't just make claims. Claims and support. So you say with these claims and support. Go ahead.
Okay.
With these claims and support. And we dealing with
what is it? I mean, what is it? What does it purport though? I mean, so if in fact the Circle 7 is the Aquarian, right? And these documents were used to stir the minds of the people at the time, right? And even today, right? Get them thinking based on the literature, right? Get the Moors thinking, right? Which in fact we're doing today, right? Is it a negative or a positive based on our direction?
But that's not my claim. That's not my claim. You're arguing. You're arguing that something that I never claimed. My claim is that Drew Ali did not stand on what's written in the Articles of Incorporation of the Moorish Science Temple of America. He did not propagate the faith of Mohammedanism as it was supposed to do based on the Articles of Incorporation.
Okay, I got you.
That's my claim.
Okay, I got you.
You got to look at my claim. You can't. You got to stay on my claim. What is my claim?
I want to also touch on. This is Tamara. I want to also touch on to get our people to think.
No, that's what we're here for.
Well, I'm talking about the statement that people make that. I think it's a statement in error because our people, we were always thinking people. We built civilizations, we ruled different zones, jurisdiction. So we did not have a lack of thinking problem. We had an issue of being overthrown and usurped. So we were dealing with, we were dealing with and still dealing with, there were always warriors among us who were fighting for liberation then and fighting for liberation now. So the liberation fight did not start with Drew Ali. You have to remember that Drew Ali had a teacher also. There was a fight, there was fightings and wars and rumors of wars and covenants and treaties laid down before he was even formed on the disposition of the earth. So that's an error in statement when people say to get our people to think. Our people has always been thinking people. We always been, when someone guide us to look at us as less than, we will put that energy out in the elements and we will operate as such. We have always been the great I am. We have always been conquerors. We have always been more than. We have always, been that. So that is a statement in error to get our people to think. We've always been thinking. We're going to continue to think. We're going to continue to press forward, but we have to understand where we fell short at. And what we fell short at is going against the matriarchal principle and getting into bed with that. This does not serve us. That did not serve our nation. And that's why our nations failed. So that's what we're dealing with now. Now, James, we've been dealing with that for over 200 and some years, 240 some years. Before my time, or I could have been here. I don't know. But at the disposition I'm in now, we're dealing with it now. James Weeks Bay, you're going to take the last question before we close out for the evening.
All right. I'm going to try to be quick. Abdullah, I just want to say I stand with you, bro, on being able to acknowledge where there were errors associated to both the direct actions and the mythology that our people deal in with respect to our brother Noble Drew Ali. And one of the things that I'm learning and listening as we're growing together is that I'm realizing that perhaps all of us aren't willing to acknowledge that everything that happened while Drew Ali was in the midst of doing what he did wasn't perfect. And it's almost like we're afraid to look back, acknowledge the principles, and just carry on the stuff. And I guess people identify different things because a couple of the things that I personally remember with respect to what Noble Drew Ali did is that he said that more should give honor to all the divine prophets. He said we should study, so we have to have clarity. He said it only the half had been told. So, and he had a lot of opposition. So, I'm hoping that our kinfolk have enough courage to acknowledge that and say out loud, because it's true, that everything that happened with respect to Noble Drew Ali was not perfect. And we've learned the principles about why it wasn't proper to create an organization within a foreign jurisdiction on our own land. Other principles that should give us courage to go forward. That was my comment.
All right, James, what's on the nationality card and the Moorish Science Temple? That is a direct contradistinction to give honor to all divine prophets, Jesus, Buddha, Confucius, Muhammad. That's not what's in the Articles of Incorporation, though.
That's absolutely. I acknowledge that.
Yeah, I'm saying. I just would not just for you, please. It's not just for everyone, please. It's for everyone.
Right.
That is a contradistinction. I'm going back to the Articles of Incorporation. I can't step off that. To propagate the faith of Mohammedanism, he created a nationality card. The honor Confucius, Jesus, was two others besides. You had Muhammad in there. Buddha. That's a violation of Mohammedanism. No. In the Articles of Incorporation of the Moorish Science Temple of America, to propagate the faith of Mohammedanism, and you write in a nationality card to give honor to Buddha, Confucius, Jesus. Though he had Muhammad, It should only be this way. It should read this. We give honor to Prophet Muhammad, period. That's what it should read. Based on the Articles of Incorporation. I keep going back to that. We got to get out the emotion. Articles of Incorporation to propagate the faith of Muhammad. Propagate the faith of Muhammad. We got to stand on that. That's the claim. What's the purpose of the Moorish Science Temple? Is to propagate the faith of Mohammedanism. That's it.
The Moorish Science Temple of America.
Please, Tamara, have it.
Deriving. Please, deriving. It goes back to the note, the Moorish Science Temple of America.
All right, deriving.
Power.
Deriving.
And authority from the great Quran of Muhammad to propagate the faith and extend the learning and truth of the great prophet of Allah in America, to anoint, appoint, and consecrate ministries of the prophet, and to establish the faith of Muhammad in America.
Read that again, Tamara, please.
The Moorish Science Temple of America, deriving its power and authority from the great Quran of Muhammad to propagate the faith and extend the learning and truth of the great prophet of Allah in America, to anoint, appoint, and consecrate ministries of the prophet, and to establish the faith of Muhammad in America.
Not the inquiring gospel. I mean, this state is, we got to get out of the emotional. We have to learn how to critically think. That's what it reads. You start there. So there's a contradiction. Contradiction in the divine warning. Bring my people back into the constitutional fold of government. That's not what Tamara read. Our Constitution for the United States of America. That's not what Tamara read. We give honor to all prophets. Who would have confused? That's not what Tamara read. So where am I misinterpreting? Part 2, ancient biblical jurisprudence. I'm up next. All right, homework, Shem. Yeah, we'll put it in the Yeah, we'll give it to him. Well, tell you what. Yes, to write a we'll put in the thing. Yes, we'll put in the thing. All right. See y'all next Saturday. Same bad time, same bad channel. All right. Peace, everyone.